podcast, where we question the history and mysteries of the past while exploring people and stories from around the world. Join us as we delve into everything from hidden treasures and ancient secrets to the unexplained phenomena capturing our imaginations. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dan Dillman Live. And, from around the world, we are broadcasting live. Tonight, I have a very special guest. That is my buddy, Kevin Hoagland. And we're excited to talk with you, man. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, thanks for asking me, man. This is great. And I'm sorry, the pre-show stuff that we were talking about, we've got the echo. We might as well take care of it right now. Yeah, let's take care of it right now. All right, everybody, hang on just a moment. We're experiencing small technical difficulty from my side, so Dan's got to take care of that real quick.
And hopefully, 1, 2, and running through all of these things. Bam. Okay. Hopefully,
it's never perfect, is it?
No, it's not, man. Technical difficulties, but hopefully no audience member is hearing echoes, and hopefully you're not, especially.
No echo now. Everything's good. So,
and I even got thrown
sorry
off,
about
man.
That. Didn't mean to jump in there and interrupt you on that one, but yeah.
No, I'm glad you did, because I didn't even do my intro well enough, because I was going to be like, tonight, my special guest, co-star of History Channel's Lost Gold of the Aztecs, world-renowned gold miner, metal detectionist, and prospector, the one, the only, Kevin Hoagland.
I'll take about 5 of those and not go any further than that. But yeah, no, hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And then it's been a while. I haven't seen you. Last time I saw you was in Nevada a while back. So
right.
I'm sorry I couldn't get my monitor right in line with the camera. So I'm not being rude. I just if I'm going to look at you, I'm going to have to look over. My monitor's broken. Everything else is just, I'm in my mobile rig right now. So it is what it is. So sorry about that.
No, man, I appreciate it. And I was just, telling someone the other day when I looked at my previous episode, I'm going, man, when I try to look at my guest or someone, it's like I got a crazy eye, or even when I'm trying to look at myself. So I promise you, not that there's anything wrong with being cross-eyed, by the way, but I promise you, no. I'm not. So look, obviously we were both on History Channel's Lost Gold of the Aztecs, but we know each other, but we don't know each other. Like I don't even know, where were you born and raised, man? So I just kind of like, I want to know your origin story, because obviously I watched you, and like, you're badass at what you do. Plus all the research I've done on you, that the things that you do, man. So it's an honor to have you, but really I need some origin story here.
Well, there was a big joke in my family that my mother made the remark that the only reason I was born in California was because she couldn't get back across the border fast enough, meaning Arizona. That I've heard that at different times, but I was born in San Diego and spent the first 8 or 9 years of my life in San Diego, and just became a childhood surf bum and just having a blast in the ocean all the time. We were not that far from Mission Beach, and at that point in time, 60 some odd years ago, Mission Bay didn't have a single house around it. It was just a bay, and now it's just, I'm not going to go down those rabbit holes. It just depresses me. And then my mother was a CTI investigator for Southwestern Bell, and we ended up moving to Oklahoma for a while, and I became fascinated with electronic prospecting and a lot of different things. I asked for a metal detector for my 9th birthday, and my mother just flat said no. She said, "I'm not buying you a metal detector for your 9th birthday," because what she didn't tell me was that she already had bought me a metal detector, but it was a full kit, and not like a Heath kit. This was like the full Scientific America kit and everything else like that, where I had to literally solder the boards together and put everything in it and make it work and wind my own coils. And when I got done, I could find her car from about that far away. And I knew that it could be better. And that's what took me down the rabbit holes. And I've never, since I was 9 years old, I've never not been involved in metal detecting, and it's taken me all around the world. But um, when I graduated high school, I didn't want to go to college right away, so I went off and started working in the oil fields. And my official job title, which I guess still hangs on to me for another 3 years until I'm 65, is I am a class 3 radiographer, and my specialty is electromagnetic and gamma radiation inspection services.
Holy
So
cow.
yeah,
That's
it's a it's a great big lot of words for. I'm a really high tech a high tech X-ray technician or something,
right.
But
Right.
really getting in, and that was also another thing that really kept me into prospecting was understanding the magnetism and putting it into the earth, and getting those replies, and being able to work with different things like that. So that was kind of the gateway drug of getting me into everything else. And I'd been prospecting. I started prospecting when I was 7 years old, out in the middle of the California desert, and it's a story I haven't told a lot, and I probably would choke up too much telling it here, but I ran into this old guy this old guy. He was probably about 30, um, out there running an old hand crank dry washer, and I was just fascinated. And I walked up to him, and I kept getting a little bit closer, and finally he just looked up and said, "Come here, kid." So I walked over, and he's got this old galvanized metal tub sitting on an old table, and this old rusted out metal gold pan. And he's taken it, and he's just cleaned out his dry washer, and he's showing me all this stuff. And he says, what do you see?" And I looked at it, and it was just all black sand. It was just all the iron sands that you would see. And I went, I really don't know. And he popped it, and half the pan across the top just turned gold. And he said, "You know what that is?" Yeah, I mean, it was his full day's worth of work. And he said, "You know what that is?" Or he said, "Kid, you know what that is?" "That's gold." And he went, "Yeah, but you know what? It's something else." "Do you know what that is?" "No." And he said, "This is eternity. It's been here since the very beginning of time. And after we are all gone, it will still be here."
Wow.
Now, that was the coolest thing I'd ever heard. I had no freaking idea what the word eternity meant, but it was just a cool word for a 7-year-old.
Right.
And I went and I asked my mother and my brother what the word eternity meant, and they explained it to me, and I was hooked. That was it. I can't think of a time that I haven't been prospecting or metal detecting or going around the world working on different projects and different things like that. It's just what I do. And then, tossing on the other side, um, my great great grandfather was a law enforcement officer in the Indian Territory and chased a bunch of bad guys all through Robber's Cave, and with all the old Viking things and everything else that they found there. I mean, I was a treasure hunter long before I was really able to get out and do a whole lot of gold prospecting.
Right.
Not a lot of
Right.
gold in there, not a lot of gold in Oklahoma. So
Yeah. Well, you took the next question. You already answered it. I was going to say, when was the first time that you actually put your eyes and hands on some gold? And did you what did you feel? But you've kind of already said it. Did he let you keep any?
he gave me he gave me a small amount. He had a Ziploc sandwich bag, or it wasn't even Ziploc back then. It was the little flip over Glad bags, and he took a good pinch of it and put it in there, and I still have that gold.
Really?
I still have that gold to this day.
Wow, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That's crazy. That's
yeah.
crazy.
And,
Uh,
and I won't be able. I can't tell the whole story without choking up, but I will say, 40 some odd years later, almost 50 years later, 45, whatever, 45, 50 years later, um, he had become my mentor. And I met him when I was about 21, 22, and we became fast friends, and he became one of my mentors. And we never really talked about the origin or anything else like that. And I'm standing at a gold show, in 2015. And then by this time, he was in pretty bad shape and everything else. And somebody, there was about 10 or 12 of us standing there. And somebody looked at me and said, well, Kevin, how did you get started in gold? And I told him that story. And when and I mean, I just completely out of the blue, when I said, and this old man said, do you know what this is? And I said, gold. And he said, yeah, but do you know what else? Jim was standing there, and Jim said, that's eternity. It's been here since the beginning of time. The guy that I had met when I was 7 years old had become my mentor for years, years and years, decades.
Wow.
And it wasn't until that moment in 2015 that we both realized that he was the same guy that got me started in gold.
Man.
So I mean, we went outside, we cried for a while. It's just one of those amazing moments in anybody's life to have something like
Right.
that come around.
Oh
So
man,
yeah,
synchronicity. You guys were clearly connected, man, on a cosmic level to reconnect, right? To reconnect.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You can go ahead and cry though. We need this show to go viral. Looking for new viewers. So cry, and
Oh
I'll be like Kevin Hoagland cries live.
yeah, look, you wouldn't be the first time. I mean, I'm a pretty sentimental guy, and there are things that really bother me. But it is weird because I've never cried when Old Yeller died. So,
Right.
you know,
I did. I cried when Old
hold
Yeller
on.
died. I cried when the champ, you remember the champ from Ricky
Oh
Schroeder was
yeah,
crying, champ,
yep,
man. I cried
yeah.
like a baby. And I'm sentimental too.
I did
Yeah.
too. I did too.
Yep. So
Uh,
so we're both on this show,
yep.
Lost Gold of the Aztecs. Talk to me about your experience, or how it came up, how they contacted you. I'm sure a lot of our listeners, even other treasure hunters and researchers, are probably wondering, how does it work, or how did it happen for you. I'm willing to share my side too, but yeah, give me a little background on what went down.
I got a phone call one day from a friend of mine that said, "Hey, a production company just reached out to the production company that he was working for at the time, which I can't mention that, and said, do you know any guys that are metal detectors that are not afraid to go underground or have the treasure hunting background or have done this or done that?" And so my buddy said, well, what kind of treasure? And he said, and he said, well, let's talk about ancient treasures, like let's just say Aztec or this or that or whatever. And my buddy started laughing. He said, "You have no idea how much time this guy has spent down in Mexico, and how much time he spent looking for these different things, and his theories on the so-called seven cities of gold and all this other stuff." He said, you need to reach out to him. And I got the phone call. I got the phone call from the production company, and they're like, we've talked to a lot of people, and they all point their finger to you. Can we talk? And yeah, let's talk. And they ran it by me, and it was like, yeah, as long as there's no drama,
Right.
and it's real, because they were asking me about what I'd been doing and what Chris had been doing and these different things like that. And it's like, guys, we're underground. We spend a lot of time underground, and we spend a lot of time in mines that were dug by hand, not dug by steel, and not dug by moderns. We're underground in flat roof mines, which are the most dangerous things in the world, and all this other stuff. Um, if you want drama, all you have to do is just follow us around for a day, because drama is every step you take when you're underground, everything that you do when you're underground, especially in a new location. When we broke into that new tunnel, I mean,
Right.
what you
But
don't see.
by the way, that was when you guys put the blasters. Is that what that was
No,
badass? Oh,
this is when we were shooting this. We were like, there's air. We can feel air in here. We can't figure out where it's coming from. So we were sitting around talking. It's like, how are we going to do this? Because we need to get something back there. We need to be able to launch. We were actually thinking about, at one point in time, taking an AR-15 with the grenade launcher, and putting smoke rounds down. But it's like, we can't do that. The percussion will just drop the walls and around us. So that's why we came up with that that silly ass looking potato gun
Right.
that we yeah, and
Yeah.
we sized the barrel to make sure that it was going to be perfect for the smoke bombs that we were able to get locally, and those were military smokers, so we knew we'd have some time on them and everything else. But yeah, blasting that stuff in there, and then when it started coming back at us, and we're running, we're getting out of the mine shaft, and I'm pushing the camera guy, going, go 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 go, get out of here. The point where he's actually got the camera just sitting on his shoulder, turning it backwards while I'm pushing him out, and I'm just lighting smoke bombs and throwing them out. We stood up there, and sure as hell, a half a mile or almost a half a mile away, smoke starts coming out of the ground.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we went and popped open that mine, and we popped that thing open, and it was an amazing shaft. It was an absolute amazing shaft, and it led us to so many different things. But as far as every bit of that is just when you go underground, and they broke the fourth wall with me a couple of times because we're in an area of the mine, and I'm checking the sides, and and we've got a mine safety officer in there, and even she looked at me at a couple of times and said, I'm kind of out of my element on this one. This is unfamiliar to me, and it's like, just we'll work together on this and so on. But they broke the fourth wall a couple of times because I just looked at the camera guys and said, if I tell you to run, you effing run.
Right.
You don't question it. You don't. If you've got gear laying on the ground, if I say go, 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 the gear that's laying on the ground stays on the ground. Anything that is not attached to your body does not come out of this mine shaft.
Mm.
And we had a couple of instances where we had to. I mean,
Wow.
we had bad air. We ended up with one spot in bad air, and pulling Chris out of that hole and getting all the other things done. It was. You want drama? Just hang out with a couple of hard rock miners all day long looking for a treasure. I
Right.
mean, it's
Right. Well, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I mean, I don't know if it was you or Chris who lost a buddy, I guess, in one of the mines. I heard that. That was you. Yeah, man.
I lost a very good friend, and the saddest thing about it was, um, when they realized that he was missing, and they looked down the shaft, you could see him from the top of the shaft.
Damn, man.
He
I'm
just,
sorry. Yeah.
yeah, it was tough, and I'm glad that they did not. I lost it. I lost my shit. Oh,
Right.
sorry.
Yeah, that's all
All
right. I said
right,
I said BA
I lost.
earlier.
Yeah, I lost it really bad, and they gave me a little bit of time to recompose, but they asked me if I was willing to talk about it a little bit, and I talked about it a little bit, but that was tough because he just hit he just hit a cloud of CO, or just walked into a CO pocket, and that is, you don't walk out of that.
Wow.
You don't it and I don't know if you know what it does to you, but it just completely robs you of oxygen. There's nothing else to breathe. There's just the gas, and you're done.
Yeah,
You're
I've
you're
got some.
absolutely
I've
done.
I've got some, gas meters, and I don't mess
Yep.
around because I'm, my grandfather, my uncles, they always told us, that's why we don't just normally go diving into anything because booby traps, poison gases, molds, all
Yep.
those things. Of course, you just got to be careful. So that's something. One of the tools. Are you guys rolling around with gas meters or any type of sensors that tell you,
Oh
the
man.
safety of the air?
Maximum meters. We had some that had been supplied by the production company, and they were down to parts per million. But I
Mm,
broke out a couple of mine that I had them all recalibrated for parts per billion.
wow.
So yeah, and at parts per billion, I know I've got a little bit of leeway, and that was mainly the one that I ran most of the time. Was we kept them both. I had one in my pocket at all times, well, right tucked up in my shirt, and then I had the one that was out that was visible, so I could always check, and I could always check back and forth. But yeah, being in the mine shaft, and it just kills me to watch all these people that are doing these YouTube videos where they just walk into a mine. Um, they just so many people just don't understand. If you've got a mine that's got a whole bunch of pyrite in it, and you've got water, and that stuff has been, and that pyrite's been breaking out, like chalcopyrite's been breaking out, and then that water, and that water's been stagnant for years and years and years. You step into that, you've just popped a bubble of H2S gas, and you're going to die like
See,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's why, at least I tell people all the time, is it's the same thing with the caves, and you just don't know. So people, it's all fun and games until you're dead. And what's the point in finding a treasure if you don't survive the first level of security, or danger,
yeah,
man? You got to pass
yeah,
level one before you could get to level two or hit the treasure. So
yeah,
I hope that anyone watching and listening, man, make sure you are practicing safety first. That's what I preach, and that's clearly what
yeah.
you're saying.
Oh, absolutely. If you don't know what you're doing, if you have no idea about the chemical compounds of having, if you're sitting there listening to this and you go, huh, pyrite will cause H2S gas. If you know that, you have no business being inside of anything. I don't
Right,
care if it's a cave, if it's a natural cave, if it's a mine, even if it's an old basement like a granite dug basement, because you don't know what Mother Earth has put into that ground in that particular area and how it's going to react.
right,
And I mean, the greatest chemist on this face of the planet is Mother Earth.
yeah.
The
Well,
greatest chemist.
gas mask, man. I'm researching now, and I haven't done enough of it, but I'm researching getting particular masks, because and I want to talk to you about this, but we're still at the location. We're still investigating. We've got our deal with the private property owner, and we've made a pretty amazing discovery, and we're about to enter into something. It's not a cave, it's something we've discovered, and I'm not trying to give up too much, but we're about
Yeah,
to
no, no.
puncture. Yeah, we're about to puncture something to see if there's some anyway. But
Let me know
unknown.
before that happens. I'll be there. I'll come up for
Okay.
that.
Okay, well, I'm
Yeah,
scheduling that now. I was even going to try to be out there in February to do it, but the schedule's not going to line up. Plus, it's too cold, and there's some water we need to pump out, because I don't know if you saw, not only did we leave that cave full of water from the show, but we ended up pumping that out and made another discovery. But guess what? We we flooded it again. Um, so
that Utah Badlands out there, that whole area through there. There is one thing that is not lacking, and that is it does not lack water.
Man, the
So
underwater aquifer is for
yeah,
real there, and that's what's happening.
yeah,
Is there's just so much down there, and yeah, you hit the right spot, and well, and that's why the natives were even there, right? What do we need? We need water. We're in
yeah.
the desert, so it's an ideal location. But what's the update when it comes to obviously, you know we've been told about the show. Well, let me ask you this: what's the update? Where are you at now on your investigations? From where because I'm sure fans, friends, followers, they ask me all the time, and so I'm sure they want to know from you. Where have you left off? What are you doing? What are you up to in that area? Have you moved on to other things, other locations?
Well, I'm going back to treating Aztec the way that I did, the way that I have for the last 20 some odd years, where it has a good part of my has a good part of my time, but I've got a full time job, and I've got a huge amount of members that I try to help and responsible for, and helping them become better prospectors and miners. So that takes a lot of my time, and I'm I've got my podcast, which has kind of been stagnant for a little while, but there's some other things that are going on. But um, I'm back in the research mode. I'm really, we all feel that all three of the teams feel that we're on to something, and I don't. I think that each thing will cross here and there, but as far as being, I remember talking to one of the producers about what would be like if we all combined for a little while and saw what happened, and it was like, I don't know. I don't know what that'd be like, because we're all in different areas. We're all looking. I mean, we're looking for basically the same thing, but we have a lot of different thoughts on it. I'm from the aspect of that Chris and I have always been from the aspect of finding the motherland, finding Aslan, and having that standpoint, and being that we're both miners and we're both prospectors, and I've been all down through Mexico on following this, and Chris has done a lot of the stuff from Nevada all the way down through into Arizona and a couple of these other areas. Um, we know, yeah, we all know that the Aztec migrated, and I've got some really harsh theories as far as like the Vaca is concerned, and the seven cities of gold, and a few of these other things. I mean, there's certain things you can hide, and there's other things that you can't.
Right.
And so there's a lot of I guess my easy answer is I'm back into the research mode right now. I don't think we've done anything wrong, but I think there's more. I don't think Chris and I have missed anything, but I think there's still little pebbles. There's still little pebbles that can be picked up, and I'm looking heavily into down south, very far. Not so far down that I'm not comfortable that I can't get back into the U.S. in a day.
Right.
But yeah, but
Especially right
looking at
now. Right now, why there's a little tension, possibly.
yeah, yeah. Believe me, I'm not planning a trip down there. I had a family that I've done a lot of that I helped out years ago. That they live in Sinaloa, and I've been down there a couple of times and helped them get a couple of hard rock mines started on their properties. And every year I call them up going, "Hey, can I come down there?" No, you're too white, man. You're just too much of a gringo. just wait, just wait. You're just too much of a gringo to come down here right now. And then we have a big laugh about it, and then and just continue on. But yeah, I think for me, it's been a lot of research. Chris and I haven't really had a chance and an opportunity to talk a lot over the last few months, and I know that he's looking at some different things, and that's kind of always been the beauty about Chris and I. We just kind of come together
Right.
and we put everything together, and then maybe we go off, or maybe we go off together and try to prove or disprove what we're working on. But you know, there's a lot. I mean, there's just so when you look at everything that happened in the whole Aztec idea, you know this better than most. It's not simplified. There's nothing simplified about anything about the Aztec other than they were brutal. They killed people, and then they went south, and then they killed people, then they moved up, and then they went back north. That's the simple answer.
Yeah, and
Everything
it's
else,
so yeah, but it's so much more complex than that. Like you say, it's
absolutely.
multi-dimensional. There's so many different aspects. Sure, there's the protecting and warrior and fighting, but then there's the whole spiritual journey and the spiritual aspects of and the sciences and the mathematics and all those other things that make them, especially for how sophisticated their civilization was at the time the Spanish arrived, they were amazing. And the sacrificing, I'm not even 100% sure that they were as any more brutal. Matter of fact, I know for a fact they were no more brutal than our governments are today, quite honestly. um but yeah, man, it's I plan to bring Chris on, so if Chris doesn't know that, I'll be reaching out to him. I heard he's got a new book, so in no way am I not reaching out. I'm going to reach out to the other team too. Gabriel, him and I connected on Instagram. We've never met,
Yeah,
but I plan to reach out to him as well too, bring him on, touch base with him, see what's
yeah,
happening. But
yeah,
something, I'm going to ask you this question, but I'm going to first share it with you from my perspective. Before the show, for us, for the Dillmans, for my family, of course, my uncle Johnny and Uncle Paul and grandfather have been passed away. Grandpa for since '92, but my uncles, we always were just ourselves, man. Every once in a while, one of my uncles would bring one of their friends. Usually, something would happen. Someone would get hurt. Someone would go crazy.
oh
Uh,
yeah,
some crazy crap. But in general, it was mostly just us as family. The show, at least, opened my mind and kind of heart, I guess. Plus I don't have my Uncle Paul, I don't have my Uncle Johnny. I got my wife and got my kids, but it just opened my mind and heart to being open to working with other people, sharing more stuff, right? Because we never really, outside of a close circle, even spoke about what our theories are, what we found, some of our adventures and discoveries. It's been really, so I'm open now, and I've been
Yeah,
sharing and reaching out and saying, hey, I want to, get with other people and even look at their adventures. Go check out what they're doing.
yeah,
Um,
and
and
that's a
hope,
big one.
yeah, yeah, and hopefully
Yeah,
build teams, friendships, relationships. Yeah, so that's what it's done for me. So what, has the show, that experience done anything different for you? Is
same thing. Because as we all know, and this is part of that old treasure hunter creed that we were taught when we were kids. Don't say anything.
right.
Don't talk. Don't talk. Don't share. This is the there's five people involved. It's this person. That's it. You never talk about it with anybody else. And I was good with that. I've been good with that my entire life. And then and let's think about it. Let's put it down to dollars and cents. How much progression did you make? And this is going to sound really tacky, but how much progression were you able to make having History Channel money behind you? Because
Oh,
for Chris and I, it was huge. It was huge. I mean, it was like we went from here to here like that instead of like these little tranches.
yeah,
So I say that it really, it moved us forward at least probably a decade
right.
over what we would normally be doing, and as you said, sharing and inviting more people to come in. I absolutely love when somebody comes up to me and they've said, I've watched every episode. I've watched them over and over and over and over and over again. And you know, aren't you worried about things? And it's like, no, why? Why would I be worried about it? If I was worried about it, I would never done the show.
Right.
And I did give that some thought because it's hard to let loose of something that in our case was just a very, very small handful of people. But the moment that we started doing it and really starting to get it out like that, and when that first episode aired, and I've got a really good following with the people that I deal with and everything else like that. So I had a pretty big instant crowd, just immediately baked into this whole thing, and
Right.
um, it was. I've learned a lot, and a lot of it is that I don't have to be secretive anymore.
Yeah.
No, because I think in the long run, we're all going to do better
Yep.
when we either, I'm not going to say team up, but I think all of us have shared information back and forth with each other at one time or another. So, with that, it helps progress us. And I know you and I talked about a couple of things a year or so ago, and if any of that came to fruition, believe me, I'm on the phone with you saying, "Hey, get that great big ass Hummer out and get and I don't know if you still have that big monster, but
Oh yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's like grab the Hummer, come on, yeah, here's where I am, here's a GPS pin, get your butt down here because we're on to something.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Well,
and
I would be honored and excited, man, and the same to you. I just told you that we're about to do something. You are absolutely invited. And the sharing stuff that we're doing. The one thing I have not shared is specific locations, of course, because of the respect of the property owners and deals that I have. But yeah, man, same to you. Matter of fact, I'm looking forward to us making an effort. So this is it, saying it. This is, I call it the LA mentality. This is no LA mentality about, hey man, we're gonna get together and work together. We're gonna do some things, okay?
yeah, seen
And
that.
right, and then bam, we don't talk to each other, see each other until we run into each other in the future and go, hey man, we're gonna do something together. We're gonna see it 10 years later. So none of
Yeah,
that. Real
yeah,
deal. I felt a connection with you. I don't know if we want to share some of even the backstory of how we first met and give people some of that behind the scenes. um
absolutely,
yeah, so
absolutely. I
I
don't. Do you have any restrictions on you still from History Channel?
I don't, because I negotiated I said, look, if in 12 months we haven't begun filming, or 12 months from the last episode, if we haven't begun filming, then I'm free
Yep.
from my contract. And I've just done these types of contracts for other things, and music business background and those things. So that was just something that I kind of was a hard line on, because they were trying to get me caught up for 5 years.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that and I imagine that that's it. Look, if the show kept going and whatnot, it wouldn't be that big of a deal because we'd still be doing it and we'd be locked into our
Yeah.
contracts. But
No,
I
I
wasn't.
did.
Yeah.
I did 12 months as well.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah.
Eh,
My attorney and my attorney said, no, you're not going to get locked into this. So, yeah,
right.
mine was 12 months.
Yeah. And so, that kind of stuff I've heard that other people have been caught up in, 5 years and can't do anything, and I think that's a little unfair. I'm totally thankful to History Channel because, like you said, there are some things that because they help fund those big cats and a lot of stuff that normally forever we paid for, right? I'm sure you're the same way.
Oh,
It
yeah,
can't
of course.
it came out of our pocket 100%, feeding the people we brought, renting the equipment, whatever needed to be done, we paid for it. So having History with us on a location was wonderful. And now, did they tell you the show was canceled? Because they didn't tell me the show's canceled.
No,
They,
no.
yeah,
That
they did.
to this day, I've never been told that the show is canceled. Never to this day. Now, I do have friends that work at different different groups and so on like that.
Right,
And I've been told a couple of times that it's still viable. I mean, my God, look at the ratings on the thing. Number one show, number one news show on history.
right,
You know,
right,
all the and all these other things that happened. It just, what really sucked is had they planned. To me, it was like if they were planning on going into a season two or a brand new show, and then that freaking thing on July 14th or June 14th happened. Oh, the writer's strike,
right,
which does that affect us? Of course it affects us. You think it was the writers, but if you've ever watched the writer's strike before, when the writers go out, everybody goes out. You can't even find a person that's going to clean a toilet when the writers go out. You
right,
know, so so us being a new show, I can see that. I can see that it would be a backup. But quite frankly, I know of. I saw I saw a petition that had close to 8,000 signatures on it that was being sent to History Channel
wow,
to to beg or whatever for Aztec to continue and come back.
right.
I know we're talking about three teams, three different locations. I'm still trying to figure out how you guys got all the really cool stuff like the big cats and everything else. Chris and I had to make just about every damn thing we had. You know, even the excavator. I mean, bringing the excavator in, we Chris and his nephew literally walked that excavator in from one full mountain range over. So they're dragging this excavator through the desert. They're driving it through the desert with a 55-gallon drum of diesel on it, so they could keep the damn thing full just to get it to the location. and I flip on. I'm watching one of the episodes, and there you are out there with a brand new cat backhoe, and like, are you bastard? You
Well,
know?
let me tell you something. There was some magic working, relationship stuff happening, and I'll say, the producers were great. I really liked the production company.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're supposed to say their name, so I don't want to start giving up names and saying all
I
that.
just don't. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the reality is those guys were great, and they knew how to hustle, and plus we had relationships in the area that we were, so everything working together made it possible. Bert. I don't know if you saw the guy who was running the big cat. Bert, man, he's a
Yeah.
buddy of ours, and he's a sweetheart, man. But he's got it all. So for us, luckily. The reason why it made it affordable, because I don't know what History Channel would have done, but he was working in the area, so it wasn't so it wasn't too far away. It was less than an hour away for him to bring his stuff. But
Oh, nice.
yeah, one of the things I was thinking is maybe because there was three teams, three different states, even though it's a number one news show, maybe the budget was crazy. I've got no idea what it
It
really.
had to be it had to be a list, just an absolute logistic nightmare. I mean, for us just to get on site was I where we were is very very remote,
Right.
and that's about all I'm going to say. I mean, it was not a it wasn't a 20-minute drive, or it wasn't a 30-minute drive. It wasn't even it was a very long drive to get out there on a day-to-day basis.
Wow.
And you're running three big trucks. You're running three big four-wheel drive trucks full of production crew, and you got to remember those guys are getting paid. Those guys are getting paid for sitting in the truck for an hour and a half or so.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and then, well, same with you. I mean, you guys weren't. You guys, there's not a hotel. There's not a hotel right around the corner from where you were. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's well, it's yeah, it was an adventure, and it still is. And
Oh yeah.
we got a question. So I'm gonna see if I can do this. Let's see if it pops up on the screen. See, I can't see it. So I've got to figure out how to create a
Oh,
template for this. But it said I could read it though. So I shot someone who's making a comment said, "Have either of you tried Robert Kreider's new program for metal detectors? Do you know who Robert Kreider is?"
I know of Robert Kreider, but I don't know. I don't know what Robert's doing. I
Okay,
what
I'll let you know. I met him at the Moon Lake conference where he was talking and I was talking this past August 2024. He's a hella cool dude. That guy,
Yeah.
like us, he's multi-dimensional. He's doing way too much like us. But apparently, what he's doing now is he's made some device, some I believe, and Robert can correct me about this, but he's made some device that connects to any metal detector and giving some kind of 3D scans and depth scans, much like the OKM products, I think. Like I've got a Rover C4 that you can, does
Right.
some ground It's not technically ground penetrating radar, but cavern and cave detection. And so he's got
Yeah.
some technology and some app that he's made that your regular metal detector, it can attach to it and have that feature where normally, of course, you're going to have to spend, 6,000, 12,000, 20,000 bucks to get it. So I guess the answer is no, iShot. Neither one of us have tried it yet.
Okay. So you obviously know more about it than I do, because I mean I knew there was something in the works. Now is what he's done, is it working as a GPR, or is it just working like a magnetometer,
I
like
think
what
it's
you like?
yeah. I think it's working like a magnetometer. I don't think it's a GPR, but once again, I'm
Okay.
not yeah, I'm not the expert, but I'm pretty sure it's like a magnetometer, and he's got that connected to a standard metal detector and with the app making some magic happen. So I shot,
Yeah.
if you're friends with Robert, I'm actually friends with Robert. Maybe we can get you to, I could ask Robert if he can send you one to test, man. Maybe you could test out the
I
new
would
tech.
I would love to. I mean, I've one of the things I've been doing for the last 40 years. Oh crap. Um, I have field tested. I have field tested a huge amount of metal detectors from just about every company that there is, and they like it because they when they first start talking to me about a machine, the first thing I do is just tell them, before you go any further, send me an NDA. That's the only way I work. It's the only way I'll talk to you. So they send me an NDA, and I mean I've got two machines here right now that I'm under NDA on, that I'm testing. But it's interesting that you're talking about this, because years ago now, for those that don't know me, I spent over a decade working with Mine Lab in USA development and so on like that. But um, there was a company called Cetera that was out of Florida, and also they were up in the Manassas. But what they were working on was on the countermine side, to where, and I went up to Manassas and actually and spent a couple of days with them. And what it was is we were that what they had is they had a dual unit where you had a metal detector. It was one of their countermine units, but you could rotate the head and you had a GPR. So you could actually take a you would hear the signal, and once you had the signal and you knew that there was something there, you would virtually rotate the head, and then you could see what it looked like to see what the orientation was laying in the ground, which was to me was absolutely huge because if it's something that's flat top and you've got this and quite frankly, I hate to say it this way, but the world man has figured out so many millions of ways to kill each other. And when we start getting into things like landmines and different things like that, I mean, it's a very sad state. But um, there's landmines that are out there right now that Halo Trust and other organizations are out there trying to demine these areas. But there's mines that are out there that the only thing that's metal is a little tiny piece of trigger wire, not much bigger than a human hair.
Wow.
That once it loses that contact, or once it makes that contact with something that creates that energy, then it blows up a completely a ceramic landmine that you're not going to see it. You just simply don't see it with a metal detector. So that's where magnetometers come in, being able to find those voids around those areas. But more importantly, it's just where really good technology, and then I think in the long run, more and more GPR, whether it be the matting or the things that are on the front of the MRAPs or those different vehicles that they use like that. So, Countermine has always been when Minelab started doing Countermine. Um, I really wanted to get involved with that program, and I'm a big supporter of the Halo Trust. The Halo Trust is a civilian organization that works basically with volunteers, and then some. Believe me, there are paid positions within that. But Halo Trust is responsible for going into so many different areas, and they've been demining these areas after the wars have been over and doing things like that. Down in Colombia, they've been clearing landmines down there, and in Africa, and just an amazing, what an amazing group of people to be able to go out there and do that, and really hold true to that. So to me, when people talk about how do we get involved with Countermine, what can we do to help in these things like this, because we see all the stories, we read all the stories, and we see the aftermath. It's and I don't know, I honestly don't know if Halo Fund even takes donations, but um, check out Halo Trust. Just check out Halo Trust and see what they're all about, and if there's a way to help them,
Oh,
help them, because
oh,
they literally, MindLab, for years we had a tagline that for especially on the counter line, we had changing people's lives, and then on the other side of that, on Countermine, it was just simply saving lives. And I've gotten ready to get on airplanes back when I was working with MindLab, and I'd be wearing my MindLab shirt or having my MindLab jacket on. And here's where I'm going to choke up.
uh-oh.
I've been waiting to get on an airplane when soldiers, real honest to God heroes, were coming off of planes. And I've had them walk up to me and shake my hand and thank me when I worked for MindLab, thank me for the technology that saved their lives, that saved their friends' lives, that saved their platoon's life, that saved their squad's life, and things like that. And I'm sitting here looking at these guys as just being the ultimate heroes.
Wow, man.
And they're walking up to me. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's gratifying, but man, it's you sit there and you start talking to people like that, and they're just they don't even want to talk about how bad it was or this or that. All they want to talk about is how a piece of technology they had that was built by the company that I worked for saved so many lives. So yeah, I'm proud as hell of that.
Yeah, man. And you should be. You know how many lives you must have you helped to save. Obviously, a lot of people lost their lives, but man, working on that tech and doing that kind of work is you can't, there's generations, children who are living today because of the work you've done that wouldn't be here if you and those guys
Not
didn't
me,
do that.
not me.
No, but the
Everybody,
organization, of
every
course,
yeah,
of course.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean everyone.
Yeah. No, I just
But
no, I'm sorry. I get that's actually one of those things that I get touchy about. It ain't me.
right.
It was everybody. It was just an amazing group of people sitting over in Adelaide, Australia, that all they do is just think this shit up.
Right.
And it's, I mean, it's like,
Way
you know,
way smarter than me, man. That's for sure.
oh yeah, yeah.
You know.
Well, I will still say that Bruce Candy, the man who invented MindLab, is probably single handedly is the most impressive individual I've ever met in my entire life.
Right.
I mean, he talks at a different level and everything else. And that I will share a really quick story about him. When I first met Bruce, I was a Mind Lab dealer in Arizona, and we were the number one Mind Lab dealer in the world. And Bruce and I'm not going to say his name, but Bruce and somebody else came to the United States, and they were visiting some dealers, and they came to see us, and we were standing there talking, and then they were asking, well, how come you guys get all these sales? What do you do? And I showed them our box, and we were talking to him about some other things, and then Bruce, as Bruce does, he kind of talked about some technology for a little bit, and I looked at him and I said, "Hang on, Bruce, I have a question." And I mean, I was at his level for about right here, and then he went from here to about, well, I don't know, let's see, right about there in one sentence, and just left me sitting in the dust. I mean, I had no, I this was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I asked him, I said, hold on, Bruce, I got a question. And he just stopped for a moment. He was like, yeah, mate, what? Because I mean, he thought really that I was going to have this amazing question about the technology. And I just looked at him and said, when's the spaceship coming for you? And he just stood there for a moment, and then he just started laughing. And I feel like we've been friends ever since then, because the guy is not. I swear he's an alien. You know,
Well,
just
some of us
just
are, brother. Some of us are living
yeah,
amongst you.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
I
Oh,
wanna I
oh,
wanna tell you really quick because I don't think you could see it, but I shot one of the guys on the chat, guys or gals. I don't want to say who it is, but I believe it. Anyway, he says, "Great work, Kevin. Thank you." So I want to make sure you're hearing some of this. Kevin, you are a G. This is Price Productions. Kevin, you are a G. Thank you, sir. Um, we got Pat saying hi, and then
hi,
Nicholas.
Pat.
Yeah, and actually, I think that's my auntie Pat. So we love you, girl. And then Nicholas Burnett is saying cheers. So we want to say what's up to Nicholas. Make sure everyone's getting some love. And he's sending love from Brigham City, Utah. And let's say, hey Dan, love your channel. I'm grateful for your insight, man. Well, I'm grateful for you being grateful, and I so thank you. I want to give a shout out really quick to Terry Carter. Do you know who Terry Carter is?
Yeah, I know Terry. Well, I'm sorry. Well, no, that's another one. I know who Terry is, but I don't think we've met.
Man, and real quick, because I want to keep on this and we're on this metal detecting, I want to stay there. But of course, I got to sidetrack and say, because I didn't say it. The way that we got brought to the show was through Terry Carter. I want to make sure that Terry Carter gets his
Oh,
his flowers, his props, because apparently the production company was, I guess, trying to have someone else, and they called Terry Carter, and they were trying to find these people, and a matter of fact, it was from our 82 dig site. That's what it was. So from our 82 dig site, they were trying to contact the family who owned the property back then. So the production
right.
company calls Terry, and Terry goes, "Oh no, you don't want to talk to them. You want to talk to the Dillmans. You want to talk to Dan Dillman. They're the ones who found it. They're the ones who, So I will be eternally grateful to Terry, not only because he's an amazing treasure hunter himself, and he supports our community basically. His
Yeah.
channel is I strive to be like Terry Carter. You hear that, Terry? I want to grow up and be like you. Um,
From what I know of Terry, everybody in the treasure hunting field wants to grow up to be Terry. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was the one. So he was like, nah. So the production company, for whatever reason, which is fine, had no clue. And once again, we're not always out there. But yeah, if it wasn't for Terry Carter, they wouldn't have caught on to us. Now, of course, once they came and found out who we are, heard our origin story and what we're doing, of course, everything was magical from there. But Terry Carter, I thank you again publicly right here on this channel. I'm sure everyone watching this channel already knows about Terry Carter, so you need to check him out. And I need to have Terry on here with us in the future as well.
Yeah,
So,
you should. I absolutely, you absolutely should have Terry on. And you know what? I have to say, I have to give a big shout out to Terry also. I mean, I wish I knew you. Um, I know of you. I think maybe we've run cross paths maybe once or twice, but really, quite frankly, Terry, if you hadn't pointed him towards Dan, I don't think I don't think Aztec would have ever been what Aztec is. I mean, it took three solid teams to make that show work.
right, right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, man.
But then
Thank
again,
you.
there's those guys over in New Mexico that all they did was dig around in red rock. It's
Don't be mean. Don't be mean. Don't be mean.
no,
I'm
no.
sure. Yeah, I'm sure you had the
Oh,
same thing that I had. There was people calling me, man, why are those other teams on there? I just want to see you. I just want to see
right.
your family. I'm sure that happened. But I also had people call me and say, man, those guys in Arizona are pretty cool, man. Do you know those guys and what's going? And the same with even the New Mexico, cats. Some
Yeah.
people, would say,
Oh,
hey, what are they up to, man? That's really interesting what they're doing. So I think everyone, of course, our personal friends and family who know us personally are like rooting for us individually.
oh, of
uh
course.
but it was funny to me to hear some of the stuff. I remember you told me, I think it was you that told me that, because I'd be, I have this issue of grabbing my jacket, holding on to myself. What people don't know, and this is a whole nother part of the adventure, is that i would
Here
i
it
would
comes.
yeah, I was dying from COVID. And honestly,
Yeah.
I don't know if they told you that, but I
Oh
was
no,
in.
they told me. They
Yeah.
absolutely um one of the producers that you and I both worked with walked up to me and said, "Hey, they're a little behind schedule." And I went, "Oh, great. What did Dan do now? Did he drive his truck off? Did he drive his truck off in the ditch?" And he went, "No, he's got COVID and he's probably going to end up in the hospital."
Oh,
Now
dude,
you did end up hospitalized, didn't you?
I was hospitalized, and I was at the point, and this is too long of a story to share now another time, but make a long story short, they were trying to, put me in a self-induced coma and trying to
Right.
trying to ventilate me. That's how bad it was. And but spiritually and everything else, I said, what is it? What is this? A curse trying to hit me right before we do this? But the bottom line is yeah. So when I came, so that's why I got pushed back. But when I was doing the show, what of course the people working the show would know this, and I might be giving up too much, but it's the truth. The First of all, I generally do this anyway, but I'm
Yeah.
not playing when I had my oxygen machine. I'd be doing stuff, working and whatnot, but as soon as I was off camera, I was on oxygen because I wasn't 100% right. It was real, difficult. And I listened to the show, when I've watched it back, I can hear myself going,
Yeah.
and doing
Oh
my
yeah.
breath. So a lot of people don't know that I was no baloney. I was on the brink of death, but of course came out of it by the grace of God, and came and did the show and said there ain't no way that we're not doing this. And so yeah, I want to take this time too to say we're going to give away to folks watching. I've got a logo hat. Ring in on the comments, share this wonderful Dan Dillman podcast live, and put your name in the comments. And I'm going to pick someone. Last week Chris won one, and he's getting his hat. But I've got some giveaways, and also hit like and subscribe because you get to see amazing people like Kevin Hoagland, legendary treasure hunters like Kevin and others, and of course myself. And so, all right, enough of all that. But I want to tell people, hit that like button, subscribe. Let's build
Yeah.
this channel together. So,
Hey, do you have a commercial baked in or anything?
no, that's my
Dude,
commercial right there.
okay. Guess what? You're on your own for just a moment. And when I come back, I want to talk about all the bad things that happened to some of us while we were shooting.
Okay.
I think it's worth a conversation.
All right. And we do.
Maybe.
We'll come back for another show. Or
No,
are you
no, no,
saying
no.
now?
I need to step out for just a moment.
Okay. All right. Well, then you know what? Why don't you go step out, and as soon as you're back, matter of fact, should I mute your mic?
Yeah.
Okay, let's give me a second here. Bam. Your mic is muted, so I'm going to have to really pay attention when you come back. All right, Kevin is taking a quick break, but we're going to keep it moving. So you already heard me say hit like, hit subscribe. Who do you guys want to see next week on Dan Dillman Live? So some of you already shared with you, man, I was dying of COVID in the hospital, but we came out of it. So if you go watch the show, one, you'll notice I was a little pale. And when I get out into the sun, I get a nice golden. My native comes out, and the color is wonderful. But you will notice that I was a little pale in those episodes. Let's see. We got some comments here. Let's ring out. So I want to make sure that I read some of these comments while Kevin is away. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying this. I've got so many questions to ask him. Shoot, we've only covered a couple, and I got like 3 pages. We'll never get through this. Let's see. Price production. Terry is an amazing individual. I think I said that 100%. Terry, get Terry back on. Yeah, I need to get Terry on. Terry had me on. I need to have him on. The shows I love always get 86 right out the gate. It seems like that, just like Aztec. Yeah, the shows. Once again, as far as we know, the show could come back. We're not, not holding our breath or anything, but I've shared with a lot of you. Hopefully, you know this. I've been still filming. We're still working at sites, and we're filming and documenting it. We're working on a documentary, but we're still filming, so it's taking a while. I had hoped to actually put it out at the end of last year. We just got too much stuff going on, and we're still in it, but we're about to be filming something special that I'm super excited to share with you guys. All right, Terry Carter, need that hat. Right on. All right. Well, if you need this hat, then, make sure that, DM me, send me a private message on my Facebook, Instagram, whatever, wherever you're watching this right now, YouTube, and make sure to send me your address and say you want a hat. And I'm going to pick somebody to give the hat to. I've also got a black one. Okay, I think Kevin is back. Let's not keep him waiting. You're back, brother?
Yeah. Sorry about
Okay.
that. I was sitting here, and all of a sudden I heard my truck alarm going off, and then my sensor inside was going off. So I just had to go figure out what the hell was going on.
Right.
So it was
Right
a
on.
javelina. Again,
Yep.
it was a javelina brushed up against my truck and set off my alarm.
Well,
Freaking javelinas.
you're, I'm in Oakland, California right now. Well, it's technically San Leandro, California, right next to Oakland. So,
Yeah.
at least my car is still here right now. You're in an area that your car shouldn't disappear, but out here lately, it's been a little wild, wild west, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about something, because I don't know. I mean, I don't know if anybody else had any real. You ended up with COVID right before the shoot.
Yep.
Now, did you guys on set? Did you guys have any health issues or anything that just came out of nowhere?
Oh yeah, not with me personally, but I don't know if you want me to tell you, but I don't. Do you remember the big drill rig that we brought into the cave that
Yep.
was drilling down,
Yep.
dude? Though the main guy running that drill rig, he's in there, started to do the drilling, and he just started falling ill, feeling sick, like passing out, and I know this is crazy to say, but I told the everything stopped. This guy started to have a medical issue, and all filming stops. Everything stops, and of course, there were medical people there, EMTs and other things who were
Right.
off camera the whole time because it could fall off a cliff, something could happen. So they were there, and this guy starting to have a real medical condition, like looks like he's freaking going out and dying or whatever's happening. And he's trying to say he's okay, but he's not. They stopped filming. I said, hey, put those cameras on that man and start filming. This is real shit. This is real. Capture this right now. So then, of course, they're, and start. But I don't think it didn't make the show whatsoever.
No.
Um, But yeah, so that was just one of a few interesting things that happened. So what about with you? What was going on? What kind of strangeness happened with you?
I walked out of the mine shaft one day. Everything was great, feeling great. It was the secondary shaft that we opened up, and we'd been there, and we got a lot of work done that day. And it was it wasn't late in the day. It was like mid afternoon, mid late afternoon, and I walked out and I sat down and I looked at the EMT and I said, I don't feel good. I Something's wrong. And out of nowhere, I mean, she's like, okay, I'm going to take your blood pressure, and like, you're going to the hospital. So, I mean, I've had some bouts with blood pressure every now and then, but I mean, my blood pressure was like through the roof, like stroke time. And then within a couple of hours, it was just all the way back to normal. But I still ended up going to the hospital that afternoon and that night. But you know, there was oddities. There was just little oddities that happened, and just it's just, I don't know if it's, you get that many people. Yeah, I mean, people are going to get sick, and there's going to be these things happening. But um, I remember somebody after I came out and had that blood pressure issue and ended up in the hospital, and then you with COVID, it's just, I heard the rumors about the curse.
Right,
You know,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was like, and then everybody's like, well, what's going to happen to Gabriel? It's
Yeah.
because
Well, yeah, the curse is real, man. The curse is real, but I didn't have the curse. Uh,
yeah,
this
no,
was
you had
before,
COVID.
before we got started. But don't get me wrong, there are those thoughts that run through your mind because the curse is real. And we could call it something else. We can call it the treasure's protected, you know,
Sure.
much like those guys who opened King Tut's tomb, right? They opened up his tomb, and didn't make it a few days later. But that goes back to us talking about that safety with air. You would think
Yeah.
that these
Yeah.
guys would have had some kind of been prepared for such things. So yeah,
They
man.
didn't know.
Right. Yeah,
They didn't. Yeah.
clearly, because they did not get to enjoy their find.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine what it'd been like to find Tutankhamun's sarcophagus? And now all you want to do is open the damn thing up, and you have no idea what's going to come out of it.
Right.
But you're excited in the whole nine yards, and da 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 da, and the next thing you know, you're dying. Well, the Spanish have done a really good job of that over the centuries as well.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
And
yeah, and there's booby traps, man. Shit. This. My uncle Paul said it best. This ain't no fun and games. I mean, it's fun. You could say, "Oh, we're having a good time when we're hanging out," but when it gets real, it gets real. It's a
oh
serious,
yeah,
serious business.
yeah. Well,
So
and it's funny because when people saw my attitude underground compared to my attitude above ground, and the people that have known me for years, it's like, I've never been underground with you, but now I understand why you talk the way that you do. Because when the moment you step through the attic, or the moment you step through that cave opening, you are not in control of your world. You are no longer the top of the food chain,
right.
and that's all there is to it. And I believe, and Chris Dick and I, and you guys worked with Chris a little bit as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Chris and I had these long conversations because he's got the Cave Rover project, and all of the things that Chris does is just ultra cool, as far as like running the rovers and doing all the submersibles and everything else like that. But when Chris went underground in a mine, he just, we were talking while we were sitting there underground while he was getting ready to run out the rover, and he made a remark about it. It's like, he said, "I'm uncomfortable here." When I get that,
Right.
because this is man-made. Nature knows how to make a cave. So caves are a lot more stable than a mine shaft. I'm more at ease in a mine shaft than I am in a cave, because I just like mine shaft. But when it all boils down to it, nature does a better job than man could ever do on creating something that is there. I mean, I've got a mining project that I've had for a couple of decades now. That um, last time it's one of those things where it'll be productive when gold hits $6,000 an ounce.
It's coming, man. It's coming.
Yeah, yeah,
Unless
yeah,
it's all digital and they say, you know what, gold, we don't need gold except for making things with. Yeah.
yeah. Exactly, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's just that there's so many things when you get man involved. I don't even know where the hell I was going with that. I think it had nothing to do with the curse or any of those other things. But yeah, I have no idea. And believe this is my replacement for cigarettes these days. I'm actually doing pretty good. So anybody that thinks that I'm sitting there hitting a weed vape, I'm not. I'm actually trying to quit smoking again. So
Wow. Well, yeah,
yeah,
it's the thing, it's what the young people do, man. You're keeping it young and hip with the latest tech. But
yeah,
I
okay.
but I honestly believe that smoking the natural, one, I don't smoke anything anymore, and I got no problem in saying I was a big supporter of marijuana before it became legal. Here it is. I quit participating, quite a while ago when it becomes legal and everyone can have it. And, I'm going, what kind of world is this? But the natural cigarettes, my brother still smokes. He gets the Indian brand, I think it is, or whatever, and
Oh,
it's natural. The natural cigarettes, whatever they are, it's natural, no
yeah, yeah.
chemicals, and
They've got none of the chemicals in them or anything else like that, and they don't burn for crap. And yeah,
right.
I've smoked a few of those. I can't think of what they are. Um, I'm reading some of the text too. I'm reading some of the chat
Okay.
as well
Oh,
now.
cool. So you could see him coming. You could see him coming through.
Yeah, yeah. I saw the little chat box and it was lit. It had a little red dot in it, so I thought I'd open it up. There it is, American Spirits. Thank you, Nicholas. Way
Yes.
to go,
Thank you.
Nicholas. I
Thank
knew
you.
somebody would come up with it.
Boom.
I
Boom.
knew if we threw it out there, somebody'd come up with it.
Right.
And what do I have to do to get one of those black hats?
Oh,
do I have to like put my name in the
yeah. You're
name
gonna have to
and try to
put your
get
name in the chat, and then send me your address. Now, man, you bam,
Oh,
sold to an American. You got it. Free gift. Yeah, happy
yeah.
to. I'm also going to be having some shirts and other things because we've got to find a way to support this channel. By the
Yeah.
way, here's another commercial. I'm hitting a button. Bam. By the way, on YouTube, we've got some. You're able to support this channel, for a couple bucks a month to more than that. So look that up and send us stars on Facebook or do whatever. Honestly, you don't have to do any of that stuff. We're gonna keep it rocking and rolling, but why not? Why not
But
mention it?
Dan, you have to tell everybody what's the name of your YouTube channel.
I believe it's Dan Dillman. See, here's the problem: is I believe it is Dan Dillman now. It used to be Montezuma's Treasure, and I switched it to my name. So hopefully they're finding my YouTube at Dan Dillman, dandillman.com. You can find me there. If you want to book me or Kevin for a conference, speaking engagement, make sure to reach out to us. What's your
Oh yeah.
website? You got a website?
KevinHoagland.com or actually the best way to get a hold of me is um, just send me an email at dkhoagland@gmail.com. And
All right.
I do a lot of public speaking. I love talking about metal detecting. I love talking about gold prospecting, mining. I'm probably not the best guy to talk to about treasure hunting. Um, because well, and where I was going to go with this earlier is that Chris and I are both miners, so we've always looked at the treasure. We've always looked at everything. I think from at least I have is that anything that I've ever gone chasing, I've looked at it from the mining, especially when you look at Aztec. Aztec didn't know what geology is. There was no such word. There's no such word as geology in the Aztec language. They were empirical. They knew what they were doing. They knew where they had found gold. They knew what everything looked like, and that's what they did. As they went south, as they headed from the homeland, and they went south, they found the areas that looked identical. They prospected it. They mined it. They found the gold, the copper, all the other material, all the other metals that they needed, and that became a hub of the empire. You know, I don't know what your thoughts are on Devaka, but I've got some really strong thoughts about Devaka.
Oh man,
Um,
yeah, no, Devaka was the man, dude. A lot of people just, don't even know who he is. Alvar Nunez, Cabeza de Vaca. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you think, and I'm happy to share, some of what we believe. But we
You're not
believe
gonna you're
I'm
not
not
gonna
gonna
like
like
what
it.
I have. You're
That's all
not gonna
right.
like what I have.
That,
You're
no,
not
no,
gonna
that's all
like
right.
what I have to say about the Vaca.
Yeah,
The Vaca came back talking about seven cities of gold, or the seven cities of gold.
right.
I'm going to call BS on that. I
And
am.
and and why? Because I've got something to counter that, to share with you, at least, to hopefully, if you haven't heard me say anything about it. But tell me why you think it's BS.
We all know we know the properties of gold. After you melt the gold, if you melt gold and you start building out of it and different things like that, it doesn't go away. It's never going to go back to its original form ever. It will never go back to its original form. It'll just stay that way forever and ever and ever. If 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 Cleopatra poured a gold bar in her time and it got put somewhere, that gold bar would still be a gold bar no matter what.
Right.
I don't believe that what Devaka was seeing, or I don't believe that Devaka and oh God, I'm gonna get so much hate mail over this. I know that.
So
I
many people
know
don't
that.
even know who Devaka is. So the only one who's going to send you a hate mail is me, man. No,
Okay. Okay.
I'm just playing. Go
So
for it.
Devaka Devaka misses Mexico, crashes his boat, kills damn near everybody, wanders around, gets down there, and is face to face. He finally finds his way down to Mexico City, and he's there, and he's look at his company, Cortez and Coronado. At least they were able to hit, the mainland and get a boat, yeah, all this other stuff. But
All right.
um, what I truly believe is what the Vaca saw were hubs. If we look at the Roman Empire, you had hubs. You had the Roman Empire, then you had hubs, and those hubs are where everybody brought their tie, or their tie, or whatever you want to call it. Those were the places that everything congregated, and then a portion of that, or a big portion of that, made it to the emperor. So that's what kept the peace, and all these other bits and pieces of it. But they were very well run, very very regimented type hubs. And I believe that the Vaca found seven hubs. I don't think he found actual cities of gold. I
No,
think what he
oh no, no, no,
found
no, no. Okay, well that's a misconception anyway. So
exactly,
so
but
I don't.
so
Yeah,
many people believe that. But
yeah.
what I believe is that the Vaca found three in the United States and four in Mexico as he was making his way down. Found, yeah, three in Mexico, three in the United States, four in Mexico, of these hubs where they were pouring massive amounts of gold.
And he did report in his own book. Now, keep in mind, he had a version of the book that the king did not allow to be published. So then there
Right.
was the version that was allowed to be published, and even in that book, the Relacion, I'm probably not saying 100% right, but he
Yeah,
wrote his
that's fine.
book, and he says that when because and got to go back to I'll go back a little bit to what you said, but I'm going to start here. He said
Sure.
that they witnessed the natives you know, melting gold and forming, melting it. So they knew the process, they were doing it. He witnessed that
Uh-huh.
happening on many levels. He never he never saw this a seven cities of gold. There's no seven cities of physical gold. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's no so yeah, so he never saw, and of course so I agree with you not believing that, because that's BS. There's no there
Yeah.
he there are no seven cities of gold and it's gold. It
Okay.
is, yeah. So that's number one. But I will say this is that, first of all, he wasn't the captain of the ship that wrecked, and I don't have
Right.
all of my
Right.
details in front of me. But when they shipwrecked, and when they shipwrecked, there were 600 men. But by the time, not soon after, a lot of them, dying off, killed, blah blah blah, and basically, Davaca and Estevanico for 8 years, and there was one other guy with him. I always forget his name because because honestly, he was a snitch punk. But anyway,
Yeah, he was a yeah, Estevanico, I mean,
no, no,
look, the thing
Estevanico was
no,
the man.
Estevanico was the dude, man. I mean, he
Yes,
was the dude. Yeah, he
yes,
was yeah, they
yes,
kept each other alive.
they did. And everything that you read about Devaka's adventures, those were Estevanico's adventures, right? Because
Right.
those two were together. Those two, the whole entire time, they became great friends, renowned medicine men, even to the natives. So for 8 years, dude, they were lost in the Americas. Now,
Yep.
academia today says, oh, well, they only made it up as far as, Arizona or something, right? Wherever they say. But no way. They made it all the way to Utah. And so, and why? So one thing that that was to counter your comment about Devaka and those guys didn't know. Why would Coronado? Why would the king force Estevanico to lead Fray Marcos and Coronado north if they didn't think Estevanico knew anything? The third guy, this Durante, I can't remember the guy's name,
Yeah, I can't either.
but he went and
It's like
told. He
it's like
said
the guy
these,
you don't even like, so you don't
yeah.
even care.
And they
Yeah.
got separate, and they got separated for a while. It was just Estevanico and Devaka for a while. But when those
Right.
three were the only survivors, that guy snitched and told everything. Devaka and Estevanico became, when I say lovers of the land and the people, I mean they, felt that they were their people. They connected and resonated more with the
Yep.
natives than they did the Spanish cause. And there's a whole nother story, man. I'd love to share with you, and things that exist, actual records that exist. But the bottom line is they wanted no part of the Spanish doing anything. So when Estevanico was forced to lead them, shoot, he was not trying to take them to the sacred locations. And so anyway, I'll talk
Yeah.
for hours. And
Oh no.
today is
Okay.
about
Well,
you.
no,
So
you
I just want to.
I figured you'd get pissed off, but actually you and I are on the exact same page as far as this is concerned, because I, and I'm sure you get this as well. How many people have you talked to that have told you that they know where the seven cities of gold are, and that the physical cities of gold are?
Yeah, too
It's
too
like
too too many. Too many tell
yeah,
me they know
yeah,
right where it's at. And God bless them. Some of you, and I'm speaking to you if you're watching, some of you are absolutely out of your minds. But so am I in a wonderful good way. So ain't
yeah,
nothing wrong with that. But the reality is that yeah, so many people have reached out talking about that they know where the seven cities of gold are. They've seen it. They know right where it is, and they want me to go check it out for them, or they want to bring me to it. I'm like, dude, you have not seen seven cities of gold, because
right.
it's not seven. It's not a physical place. Those seven
Right.
cities of gold.
No, they're hubs. They're empirical hubs. That's what I believe, because I'm a miner, and I look at everything from a mining aspect. And when you're enslaving people as you're moving south and you're building onto your empire, you do exactly what the Romans went out and created. The Aztec went away and created. They went away from their homeland and built and expanded their empire. Whereas the Romans left Rome and they went out and they made things bigger. Well, easy. I mean, that's so simplistic. It's crazy. But yeah, it's just to me, and when I was down in Mexico, the some of the places that I've been, um, especially on both sides of the Sierra Madre, there are I'm going to say, and I talked about this in the show. I feel like I have stood in three of the empirical hubs in Mexico and two of them in the United States.
Wow.
It just makes sense. And the Spanish, and then of course the Spanish being very opportunistic. They came in and they've worked some of those areas as well. But
Right.
it's really interesting because I've been in mines, like old Peralta mines, and then even mines that predate the Spanish. And like
Yeah,
let's
all
some of
Spanish mines were native mines, most of them. I'm not saying every single one, but I imagine, and I'm not the expert on where mines are, what are that's you, but they were native mines. They were being worked before they ever showed up, man. That's my
Exactly.
opinion, you know.
Right. And you're absolutely right, because there are mine shafts that I've been into where you can tell that those mines were dug by stone, using rock, using different things. And then they'll go back so far, and you can see where the material was being pulled out. And then you see a little bit of a change, and you can tell when iron came in. So iron introduced by the Spanish and so on like that, doing the iron, and you can see where those workings. And that's when we went from having a flat top to having just a very slight curvature in the top of the mine. And then of course us modern mining, the 1800s mining, very still opportunistic, going back in those mines. And now you see the mines that were drilled, that were blown out, that were blasted with really nice rounded tops, and so on like that, because a flat mine has no stability. A round mine cap has all the stability in the world, and if the earth shakes, it has a tendency to just lock itself in. So if I've got this cap like this and there's an earthquake, it has the tendency to do this instead of just doing this.
Mm,
So there's a real, and I've been in mines like that, and one of the mines up north that Chris and I were in, you can tell that it went through three very separate time periods, to where it was being worked. It was being dug by sticks and stones, is what we joked about. Just, sticks
wow.
and stones. And then you can see where the Spanish came in and they worked it with iron, and you see where the modern mining came in and did proper blasting, the proper rounds, proper shoring, the whole 9 yards. So
Wow.
it's interesting to have, you literally walk through 1,000 years. You walk through 1,000 years of history. It feels like,
Right, right. I want to
yeah.
give a shout out to Adria Saxon. She jumped on there. What's up, Adria? Yes, shaken, not stirred. Uh, she's at Adria's. So in Kanab, Utah, she owns the restaurant Adria's, and she was just on here. So anyone visiting the Four Corners area, Southern Utah, look here. I'm doing a commercial. It's like she's a sponsor, and go visit Adria's. And she happens to stay open during off season, right? Because Kanab is a big tourist town. But
Right.
man, as soon as the winter comes, dude, that town shuts down, and most of the restaurants are shut down. But she keeps it rocking and rolling. So go check her out. She's a
Taking
good.
care of the locals.
That's right. She's a good friend, and she makes a mean drink, and of course has some great food. So I want to make sure to give a shout out to Adria since she came on there. Um, Man, there's so many other little things that I want to say. And dude, I've got 3 pages of stuff. So are you cool? I mean, we've gone an hour and a half, and I didn't even break. Get past the
Oh
the
man.
third question, and I got a crap load for you, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Uh,
an hour I'm an hour ahead of you, so I'll tell you what. I'm good for probably another 30 minutes,
okay.
and
Well,
then just reschedule me back on.
okay, we'll do that because I got way too much. Because
Okay.
we kind of left off on metal detecting. So
Yeah,
I'm just
let's shotgun the questions. Let's see what
no,
we can
no,
do
no,
here.
because I want to say some for later. So we'll just touch on a few. We'll touch on a few because we're probably going to go down some other path. And a matter of fact, I interrupted us by saying what's up to Adria, and I had other things I want to jump in because there's so many things I want to talk about because I want to ask you some other stuff. But well, let me ask you this: What are you into the UFOs and the UAPs at all? Because it's not even on my questions, but I'm curious because I'm all over the map with the things that I'm into. So have you been paying attention to any? Have you had any of those experiences? UFOs, UAPs?
Okay, the answer is yes. I live out in the middle of the desert. I live out in the middle of a massive desert. Yeah, I've seen stuff that I can't explain, but do I believe in things like that? Absolutely. 100%. I do not believe. I love the line in the movie Contact, that where a father looks at Jodie Foster and says, "It'd be an awful waste of space if there wasn't somebody else out there," or something, something. I paraphrased it. But
Right.
I've always had that belief. I've seen a couple of things that I just simply cannot explain. I've been a part of a mass sighting before, the Phoenix Lights.
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
Phoenix Lights.
That
You know,
that
I
was an
was
awesome one.
yeah, and I was north of all of that, and I was up in the mountains. So what they were seeing, where they were taking pictures like this, I was looking at it like this. I was looking down on it,
Right.
and whereas everybody else was looking up or almost straight on, I mean, I had a vantage point where I was up in the mountains, up in the Bradshaw Mountains. I saw, I just, it was just absolutely amazing.
Right on. So
I
so you're not calling me crazy for knowing what I know and my experience.
Oh
Some
God,
people
no,
yeah, some
no, no,
people I
no,
run into,
no.
they're like, nah, man, that
No, 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 Dan. And one of the things is that um, I believe I just I haven't dove into it. I mean, I really haven't. It's I have enough mysteries underneath my feet
right,
to get to allow myself to start looking up here and really trying to figure out other bits and pieces. Now, granted, I believe that some of the things that I've looked at on the face of this earth there's no way that it had a basis under my feet. It did not.
right.
But I just so do I believe? Absolutely. Do I belittle anybody? Um, dude, what is my last name?
Hoagland. Richard Hoagland? Is that why the
Yeah,
connection with Richard Hoagland? Yeah,
yeah.
that's it, man. I remember
He's
back in the
he.
80s. Are you related
Yeah,
to him? Are you related
yeah,
to him?
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, but it's funny because there was a joke said at one time that um, he was that crazy uncle that never got invited to Christmas.
Uh,
Oh,
so
but
is
yeah,
he
see, I
he's
didn't.
your uncle?
Yeah, he was my uncle. I mean, I don't know. I met him once or twice, and we talked for just a little bit, and we kind of exchanged the different people in our lives to make sure that it was kind of like the I don't know if you've ever been on the Navajo res when they meet, you have the born to or the born from and the born into family, and then you kind of like go through a few generations and things like that of different people within the family. um Especially if it's man and woman, make sure that they're not like hooking up with their third cousin or something like that, that type of thing. It's a brilliant system.
Right.
It actually is. It's actually very brilliant, and to see and to actually be there when two people introduce themselves, and you have the born from the born into, and it's just amazing to listen to.
Wow.
So okay, enough of that.
All right, but
But
hey, that's pretty awesome, and it's pretty awesome to know that that you're related to Richard Hoagland. Because trust me when I tell you, back with the my uncles had the Mars tape and Face on Mars, and we're like, that's a face on Mars, man. I don't care what NASA is trying to say. That is absolutely some type of structure. So that's
yeah,
pretty cool. That's right. He
yeah.
hasn't passed away, has he? Did he pass
You know
away?
what?
Or,
I honestly,
I don't
I
think so.
honestly don't know.
Okay. All right. Cool. I don't think so. Matter of fact,
Eh,
you're gonna make me go look for him now.
I'm gonna look. You know what? We'll just keep talking. I'm gonna look real quick. Am I still
Okay.
on screen?
Yeah, you're on screen. You want me to take you
Oh,
off for a
cool.
minute? No, you're
No, no,
still
no,
on.
no,
Okay.
no. I
And
just wanted to see if I could open up another browser window
another
and
one. All right. And if I lose you or for some reason just reconnect. But I want to say Nicholas, and we'll talk about this because it was something I was going to say, but we weren't going down that rabbit hole of the seven cities and all that kind of stuff. But it is my belief that the seven cities are inner Earth, right? And so
yep,
Kincaid, I'm sure you heard about G.E. Kincaid in the Grand Canyon.
yep,
Hopefully you've heard about that. So
yep,
Nicholas, of course, says the Kincaid mine in the Grand Canyon supposedly had Buddha type statues, but I'm talking the largest salt mines in Redmond, Utah, ancient. Uh, I don't know about the ancient salt mines. That's pretty cool. But Kincaid, because not only Kincaid had this experience about underground cave system. But the Hopi, all of the natives' origin stories are from the underworld, man, and they came up into here. And so, when I say I'm convinced, I keep it light in saying that. I know that there is an inner earth, are tunnels and an entire another world that exist within this earth. And the Hopi legends, G.E. Kincaid coming across what he did. Jack White is another person that came across what he did as a Jack White, Jake Johnson, and then
Jake, yeah,
Jake Johnson, and then
yeah.
gosh, James White. I
It's
think
funny.
that's
I
the
actually knew
third
who you
person.
were saying. I knew who
Yeah,
you were
thank you.
talking about. Talking
Thank you.
about
Thank you.
Jake. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there are those three stories that tie into, that same experience that G.E. Kincaid is speaking about. So anyway,
Hmm.
just touching on that because of Nicholas bringing it up. Um,
Yeah.
what what's your
Do you know what else there is in the Grand Canyon as far as the mines are concerned out there?
huh?
Lots of uranium.
Oh, that I heard that. I heard back in the I don't know if it was the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whenever they were flying planes over the area,
Yep.
that
Back in the
uranium,
heyday.
yeah, uranium everywhere
Yeah.
throughout there. So what's your what do you why do you think the government is not allowing us to go into certain parts of the Grand Canyon?
Oh crap. I honestly I hadn't really thought about it.
Because
Like there's areas. Well, as a miner, there's areas that we can't even go into. So I'm just going to say it under this. It's it's the resources. It's the resources that are available in some of these places that um we shouldn't have, that they believe that we shouldn't have any control over. I mean, we're talking about resources that maybe we don't even understand. In when we start looking at rare earth metals and different things like that, um, yeah, we've heard for all these years that there's rare earth materials here, but the rare earth materials are even better in other countries or this country or that country, and it's kind of like, to me it was more of a deflection of, yeah, we have to do this, we have to get this from this country because we don't have really enough of it, but yet there is astronomical proof of some of these rare earth metals that we need that are right here, and then those are areas that are completely totally withdrawn for even going into. I
Right.
mean, we're
No,
not
they
talking.
they got men in black out there, man. They got black
Oh yeah,
helicopters.
yeah,
I got a buddy who mounted a little team and they weren't messing around. And these were, these guys were ex-military, or some of them maybe they weren't. But I mean they were lifelong hikers slash everything, rappellers. They were serious about it, and they tried to go, and they were, fairly quickly shut down by the men in black showing up, just saying, "Hey, you're about to catch a case that you're never going to come back from." And so it's a deeper story. I may have shared some of it before, but yeah,
yeah.
I believe there's many things to talk about with the Grand Canyon, but for sure there is an entrance that gets us into inner Earth. I'm convinced that exists there, and they absolutely, like Stargate, like, whether it be portal, whether it be access through dimensions, or just straight up traditional material, drive it all the way through and having access into inner earth and tunnels that connect. Because the natives even tell us, the legends, oral legends and history say that there's tunnel systems throughout the entire world going through the Grand Canyon. So it's just a great mystery. I wish that we were allowed to go there and investigate. Um,
Have you
you know,
ever had a conversation with a Yaqui, with any of the Yaqui Indians, where they talk about the tunnel systems around the world?
I haven't, but my grandmother's father was Yaqui. So
Really?
my dad's mom, she was the one who was born with six fingers on each hand as well. So she was Aztec and Mayan descent, and her father was Yaqui and whatever, and her mom, I don't quite know, but obviously Aztec, Mayan. But yeah, so my grandfather tells us when I was a kid, I remember my grandfather telling us stories that, my great grandfather would have told him. So, but no, so why don't you tell me what you were going to share?
Oh, it was just I when I was down in Mexico a few years ago, I was talking about a couple of different tunnel systems and some things that I thought that I was finding down there, and this old gentleman I remember I'm not going to mention his name because for all I know he's still alive and probably wouldn't appreciate it, but he set me down and he started telling me the oral history of of just some amazing things. And he talked about one of the things that he was very, very passionate about was talking about this this system of transportation, the system of movement that wasn't really what you would consider normal movement. It was a matter of almost like acceleration, and it
Mm,
was all based upon underground things that were there, and it was, to them it was very natural, to him it was very, very natural, but there was this big discussion, or not a discussion, that he was sharing with me about this almost transportation this transportation system that would you would just basically move very, very quickly. And it was very interesting because when you start reading about things like shapeshifters and different things like that, and I put into the aspect of what he was talking about, you're talking about almost like the materialization of somebody in this transportation center being just, popping up somewhere here or there, and what you see is the rematerialization. So very Star Trek-ish in a way.
right.
Um, Very hard to believe in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I can't even tell you that I believe in it and believe in that part of it. A tunnel system, yeah, I believe in a tunnel system because, my God, I mean, if you really look at the Earth, there's no way that there's not something either built or natural that is very, very connective and so on like that, and all sorts of different little aspects of it. My I Here's the problem. I've realized over the last 20 years, I've gotten so analytical about so many things. I actually have. I mean, working on Aztec was actually a good chance for me to just get away from A to B with no gray area. It's just, put the blinders on and there's nothing else and so on like that. And it was nice to get back to being able to hypothesize about different things and then have conversations with these different people, and speaking to some of the natives that were around there that have an oral history going back, 6, 7, 8 hundred years ago, or even 1,000 years ago, and have an oral history and be able to listen to those. It really actually did make a difference in my long-term outlook at different things.
Right. Well,
That's a long way around the cup to get back to the handle to just say, fuck it, I don't have a real answer.
right. Well, it's
I have
not too.
I have a belief that's just based on a belief,
Yeah,
you know?
right. And and that's okay. For me, I love, the fact that we have science, quantum physics, and all these theories rolling around. So, for me, it helps. Not that I need to hear that, but at least it's a tool and information that I like to share with people. Say, look, according to quantum physics, man, this is a holographic and string theory and holographic theory. This unit, we're projections, and that mountain and these things are only solid, and we can't hit these other levels all because of consciousness or lack thereof, elevated consciousness. So
There it is.
so
There it is.
yeah, it's not too far fetched for me, but understood that a majority of our experience is, three-dimensional. I'm running into the door, i'm
Yeah.
trying
Oh
I'm
yeah.
trying to go through a portal, and I'm going
And let's
through.
go back. And we can't talk about that without talking about a movie that is a cult classic movie an absolute cult classic movie. That's really all it is, because it never did crap at the box office. But it's a movie that actually made a lot of people think about different things, and that was Buckaroo Banzai.
Man, I don't know if I've seen Buckaroo Banzai.
You've
I,
never seen Buckaroo Banzai in the and the eighth dimension?
if I did, I'd have to watch it and see if I've seen it because I've been shown all kinds of stuff and whatnot. But the name, it sounds familiar, but I don't think I've seen it, dude. So now you're gonna send me to go see Buckaroo Bonzo. I'm about to go
Buckaroo Banzai. It's
Bonsai.
I
I'm gonna write
believe
that
it's
down.
yeah, I believe it's I actually think it's John Lithgow's very first movie, I think.
Ah,
But it's Peter Weller and Jeff Goldblum
oh,
and
okay. Hmm. What's the
yeah,
story? What's the storyline? Not to for us to go too far down this, but what's the storyline?
Buckaroo Banzai has a little device that was built that he hooks into this old Ford F-150 truck that's a souped up truck,
Right.
and he's a medical doctor and all this other stuff, but he believes in this theory, and he's going down in the salt flats, and he's going like crazy, and then he veers off, and then he drives through a solid mountain, drives his truck right through the solid mountain, sees the eighth dimension, disrupts the eighth dimension, comes out the other side, and a little chunk of the eighth dimension is actually stuck to the truck. So, and then it's all the people, John Ben Booty and John, all these people named John, and it really it's a funny story. It really is a funny story, but I've watched people watch that movie and go, huh, I wonder if that's really possible.
Right.
Is there something about this that actually resonates? And I don't think those guys even realized that they made a movie that actually resonated with people and made them think.
Right.
But it's
Yeah, but
it's a hell of
and
it's a
we
hell
need
of
to.
a movie.
I'm gonna go check it out. I might have seen it, but I won't know until I start watching it. I do that quite often. I'm going, have I watched this? Have I seen this? And then 30 minutes into it, I have seen this, but this one doesn't ring a bell in the sense of the visuals, even when you're telling me. So I need to check it out. I just want to make sure to read off some of these comments. I shot just asked or asked a while ago. Have you run into any evidence of Knights Templar in your prospecting? Any Knights Templar stuff in your prospecting? Any clues, any connections?
I'm going to answer that question by not answering that question.
All right.
I yeah, I have come across things that make no sense in any way, shape, or form. I have found things that I immediately reburied over the years. I mean, I've dug up some things I wouldn't even touch them. I could feel an energy that just was not good, or something that was just wrong. And I there was one little thing that I picked up for yeah, price. It's a yes. Uh, I gotta turn off these comments. I'll end up answering them. But there was one thing that I actually found that I left it. I didn't touch it. I just felt so weird about it. It had everything in my entire body screamed, "Don't do this." And it was so bad. I went back. I've got a portable core driller, like a backpack core driller. I guess what people would look at it like it's a gasoline powered post hole digger. Only this is a very very small bit that goes. You stack them up. Um, and I went down about another 8 to 10 feet on a hole with that digger, and I just used the shovel and shoveled everything into that little hole and buried it back up and walked away. And it's just and there was some. I'm gonna just call them nightmares. I had nightmares about that, and there was a lot of not good things wrapped around it. Now, And I'm not pointing fingers towards Illuminati or a Knights Templar or a Templar or anything else like that. There's just shit you dig up out of the ground that you shouldn't have dug up, and you put it right back. You're on mute.
I think that answers your question, guys. He's got Templar treasure.
Or if nothing else, I know where some stuff is buried again. So we'll
Right.
leave it at that.
Right. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice? I'm going to move to some of these damn questions that I spent some time coming up with.
Yeah, and
Um,
I'm sorry, man, because they were there. It's a great list of questions.
yeah,
So
yeah, it's
yeah.
tons of them. It's like, challenges in metal detecting. I'll ask that really quick. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced in your career as a metal detectionist? Can't even talk.
Um, detectorist. Okay, so I need a little clarification. Is it what do we face when we're out working,
Yeah,
or
whatever, however you receive that question. What are some,
okay?
when you're using, when you're out there it could be, regulations, it could be, what
Yeah,
problems, what, do you run into when you're metal detecting? What do you have to, what should, maybe I should present it this way. What should people who want to go metal detecting, what should they know? What things should they, be aware of before they just go grab a metal detector and
absolutely,
head out
absolutely.
somewhere?
For me, it's really simple. As a gold prospector, as a gold miner, an electronic prospector, make sure you're not on somebody else's land or a mining claim. Assure of that you're in an area where it's not regulated. Parks, there's a lot of parks that are regulated where um, there's parks in California that I love because you can't dig a hole, but if you hit a target, you can use a very particular type tool, like a screwdriver with a hooked end on it. And a friend of mine creates an entire array of these types of tools that you're not actually digging holes, you're going in. And when you get good with your detector, you can go down, you'll fill your coin or whatever it is and get underneath it, hook it, and then pull it back up. So you're not digging a hole.
Wow,
And
what's your friend's name, and do you know that off the top of your
uh,
head who he is,
yeah,
and
no, absolutely. His name is Dennis Katz, Katz, and his company is called Fossicers, which is the Australian name for gold prospector. So Fossicker, the Fossicker, and he's got a website up, and then also I don't have a link for him, but matter of fact, I don't even know if he's got a link. But Dennis created, Dennis is one of those guys that's lucky like me. He really front ended a lot of his life, and like me, he's been all around the world metal detecting and doing different things and being on different projects and things like that. So, pretty amazing life. But he front loaded so much of his life when I realized that I needed to balance mine out and continue to be able to do things. So, but yeah, Dennis is a great guy. He's invented a couple of really good things. Like for prospecting, he came up with a product called the Pyramid Pro Pan, which is it's a gold prospecting pan, but it's a production pan where if you're sitting there with a gold pan and by the time you get down to like just we're getting it ready to get the gold and separating it out of your gold pan. I've worked a 5 gallon bucket and all I have to do is pull a plug, drop it in, spend 30 seconds panning it, stuck up the gold, and then run another 5. I mean, I can run a Pyramid Pro Pan faster than I can run a sluice box
wow,
most of the time. Yeah, I
wow.
mean it's that good. Um, so here's the biggest one. Here's the biggest one, not for me, but for people that are getting started. You have an expectation that your metal detector is going to be able to do everything, and it can't. It simply cannot. A metal detector, if you're gold prospecting, a metal detector is going to tell you that there's something in the ground that is metallic most of the time, but there are times that we have things that are dense, so dense that they're still going to give a signal
Mm.
because they're different than what is. So I think the biggest downfall or the biggest consideration is understanding what you're going to be doing, understanding that the technology today is better than it was 20 years ago. It's better than it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. The technology didn't, the technology hasn't done a slow ramp like this. The technology has done this and shot straight up, and now it's starting to level out for a little while. But um, amazing technology out there, but make sure that you're getting the machine that's right for you.
Well, that's
Uh,
one of the questions that that Price Productions asks. He basically wants to know what's a good starter detector. I've got a few recommendations, but I'm not going to claim to be Kevin Hoagland when it comes to knowing my detectors. But so
okay,
what's a good starter one for people who are looking to get started in metal detecting?
so I have to ask a follow up question to this: is what do you want to do? Are you going to go coin, relic, and treasure hunting, or are you going to go gold prospecting? Because they're not the same detectors, and I don't give a damn what anybody says. There's a lot of machines out there that are supposedly,
Multi-frequency.
yeah, well, multi-frequency. Believe me, I was on the beginning of multi-frequency, and it actually works. But it's the idea of of having this one machine that's going to be really, really great at gold prospecting and really, really great at coin and relic and treasure hunting. Um, I've seen machines that were good, but I'm one of those people that I dedicate my machines. My coin and relic machines are strictly coin, relic, and hunting and treasure machines. Sure, one of them is a crossover machine. I've used it once to go prospect for gold. But if I'm going to go gold prospecting, I'm going to have a gold prospecting machine, which means zero discrimination, zero or very, very little discrimination, because there's no such thing as pure gold in the ground.
And
There's
so he
no such thing as, yeah.
right he
So
he
I
he
see
he
that.
he says for gold bullion is what he said he wants a detector for.
Okay, so now we have to get, see, all right. Um, Boy, I wish we could just bring him into. All right, so answer these questions, Price, really, really fast. Are you talking about buried treasure that has some depth to it? Or are you talking about stuff that could be within a foot or so of the surface? Because if you're talking about a lot of depth, if you're talking about 3 or 4 or 5 feet, if you're looking at something like that, you're out of the range of handheld detectors. Um,
Someone said schedule Kevin Hoagland ASAP. This is Kevin Hoagland.
um, So, if you're looking at going out and doing something handheld, you're just going to get your butt handed to you. Because I mean, look, I've got a $10,000 metal detector sitting in my rig right now. That is the finest machine that I've ever used. I mean, there's nothing better than it in the world. It's a gold prospecting machine. Now, I will tell you, I might be able to get with the biggest coil on it. I might be able to get 4 foot on a really, really big target. Might. I will tell you, I found a freaking a car fender at 4.5 feet. But that's a huge, massive target. What you're looking for is that you're getting into the realm of really deep seeking. So if you're looking at something like that, then I would say look at OKM products. OKM makes these amazing detectors, these matte detectors and these drag alongs and so on like that. Or if you want to save a lot of money, look at a Fisher Gemini 3. I mean, the Gemini 3 is a two box unit. So you've got a box that's horizontal, you got another box that's vertical. It was the technology's been around since Gerhard Fisher created M-scope back in 1931. Um, but two box units, they're easy to use, they're easy to keep tuned, and I can tell you from my own experience. I dug a target with a backhoe on a big hunt that I was on, and I knew that I'd found a strong box. I knew that I'd found a safe, and I found a fender off of I think it was a 63 or 64 Cadillac at 22 feet.
Damn. Well, he's just saying a few feet is what he's saying. Yes, within a few feet is what he just said. So I'll say this. You're correct. OKM makes some
Yeah.
amazing products. I'll also say for a simple though and cheap, I've got a Nocta Legend. I don't know if you've looked at that detector at all,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh
that's
yeah.
cool. It works. It works. I have found many things. My wife likes to even go to the beaches, and do some scanning at the local beaches here in the Bay Area. She's
Yeah.
found rings, diamond gold rings and all kinds of stuff with a very. I think actually she had the simplex. She was finding it with the simplex, and then we got the
Right.
legend. I've
Yeah.
also got a $10,000 detector, the Nocta Invino Pro. Have you seen that one?
Oh yeah.
So I've
Oh
got
yeah.
that bad boy. I like it a lot. And then of course
Yeah.
I've got the OKM, what I'm testing now and excited to use more. I've done some basic testing, but that OKM C4 Rover that I've got, but that sucker's it's expensive. But man, when
Yeah. Yeah.
when you're hoping to find amazing stuff, and not just gold and whatnot, but these caves and caverns and
Uh-huh.
cavities. Um, it's an awesome tool. So, what would be a simple? That's what I'm looking for. Is strong boxes? He says he's looking for strong boxes.
I would actually just go to a two box. I would go to a Gemini 3 two box. Really. You're gonna have incredible depth because let's think about this. All right, in 1865, somebody robbed a bank. They took the strong box, or they robbed. I'm sorry, they robbed the stagecoach. So they took the strong box. They buried the strong box. They got dead. Now the strong box is full of gold. It's full of gold coins going to or gold, whatever. And they're going to be taking that to Fort Whipple because that's payroll for the cavalry. It gets lost, it gets stolen, it gets buried. They find the guys, they don't talk, they kill them, and then they go out and nobody really searches for it. All right, so they buried it 3 foot deep. We're talking about a strong box that weighs a lot of money or weighs a lot of weight, weighs a lot of whatever, and it's going to sink because this earth always moves. You take 3 ounces of lead, throw it on top of a 5-gallon bucket of sand, and you seal the lid and you let it sit for 9 months. I used to do this with science classes, is proving the just talking about the physics of the earth. And when you come back 9 months later and you open up the lid, you break the seals, you open up the lid, that 3-ounce piece of lead is nowhere near the top, and depends upon where you're at. I mean, if you're in California and you're a little bit prone to earthquakes, it's probably going to be a little bit further. But even in Arizona or Oklahoma or Texas or places like that, just this earth that we're on vibrates, constantly vibrates. It's what it does. So you're going to have things that are going to continue and continue and continue in depth. And quite frankly, if man digs a hole, throws something in it, and then fills it back in, that hole has been compromised. It's going to see more moisture. That hole is going to absorb more moisture. It's going to have that pass through, all those other things, and things will sink. So, anytime that I even consider looking for something in those lines, if it's a strong box or if it's or if it's just a few other things that I've chased out over the years, including a case of rifles. Um, I'm taking a two box. I cover a lot of ground. I just walk. I cover an incredible amount of ground. It hangs over my shoulder. And when it makes a noise, I dig. Generally, I go get the backhoe and I dig. So there you go.
Did that answer? Yeah, he says thanks for the info. Makes sense. Well, it says makes sense, but makes sense 100%
Right.
is what I believe he's saying.
Yeah.
Um,
And quite honestly, if you have any other questions, dkhoagland@gmail.com.
There you go. Hey,
Yeah.
we
And
should
then,
plan. We should plan. I've done some tours. UFO hunting, paranormal tours. We should do a treasure tour or something together, man. Get
I'd love
whether
to.
whether that's kind of mixing it up, maybe we're doing one where we're, rolling with you and letting you lead the way in the sense of doing some gold mining, panning, that type of stuff, like a meetup slash whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And then another one, out in Utah, we can go out to some of these ancient sites and whatnot. We should talk about that more. And
Let's let's not talk about it, Dan. Let's just make it happen. I mean, look,
all right, cool.
when we get in the real, the company I work for owns the ghost town of Stanton. I mean, it's a camp. It's a camp. It's an RV camp now and a mining camp and everything else like that. But before when I was out here years before our company actually bought the property, um, I got caught in this weird, like really weird, freaky snowstorm in this area, and I ended up kicking a door in over at Stanton just so I could have a place to, just have a place to be that was out of the elements. So I couldn't even make it to 7 miles back down to the main road,
Wow.
and weird shit happened, man. I mean, that's all there is to it. And I have I have a very very good friend of mine who is a very dyed in the wool paranormal hunter. I'm just going to call it that.
Right.
And she's she's been on a couple of shows, but mainly I think more so that she's in the back room. She's just behind the camera, or she's on that side, um, debunking, or it's what she does.
Right.
And we've had some amazing conversations. You know,
Okay.
you're gonna get me more excited about going on something paranormal than you're gonna get me about chasing something from the from chasing something from the Knights Templar. I mean,
Right.
that's all there is to it. Yeah, because I've seen shit. You know.
Right. Right. Yeah. So have I, man. So have I.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why. There are some people who just live their lives and they don't want to see it. So guess what? They generally aren't, because once
Right.
you have seen it, and when you know that there is an invisible world surrounding you, man, things are a little bit different in your reality after that.
Yeah. And I will tell you, anybody over the age of 50 that read any Carlos Castanedas understands this world around us a little bit better. If
Right.
you if you read if you read the books as something other than fiction, if you read the books, if you read Castanedas as something other than fiction, and as understanding the world around, there is a whole other world that you open yourself up to it. It's there. I mean, I have a dear friend of mine that I've had. We are actually sharing dreams.
Wow. So you
Yeah,
guys, you guys are when you're sharing dreams, you mean you guys are having the same dream. You're meeting up in your dreams. Yes.
yeah,
Yep. Yep. I've
and
had
that
had
is
that.
yeah. I mean, and that's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing when you're exploring different places with your partner. And it's then maybe it's a week later or 2 months later before you actually have a chance to have that phone call or whatever. And it's like, you know, hey, I had
Weren't
a
we
dream a
together?
while back. Yeah, I had a dream a while back where you and I were out together and we were looking for this particular thing, and then they pick up and just take it from there. They're
Right.
like, oh shit, oh
So,
man,
and
that
and what's crazy about that is that science. There was just I'm holding my pen. I probably shouldn't, but there was just a study that just came out where scientists have actually documented shared dream experience. There's some,
sure,
white paper or study that just came out to where so now even science has confirmed, holy cow, yeah, this is real. This is real, and we have done an experiment and proven that people can be sharing the dreams, being in that different realm
sure.
together.
And I've known that most of my life. I mean, it's that's not the first person I've shared a dream with.
Right.
And is it because I read all of Castanedas's books? No, it really isn't.
What
It's
were
just
those books
because
called? Don.
yeah, no,
He
that was
he's
all
the
the
he's the author, but
yeah, it
what
was
were
all
the?
it was all the books on Don Juan
Uh,
Mantis,
yeah,
and
sorry, Don Juan.
all of that. And
Someone's
I
gonna, yeah,
yeah,
Don Juan
The
something.
Eagles. Yeah, Don Wall, was it Mantis? No, I don't.
No, it's not
It's spelled
Mantis.
now. That's tough.
I can't. It's only
Um,
because I'm trying to think of it is why it's leaving my mind as well.
yeah, I'll be right back. um,
Thank God we've got the internet to remind us, man. Um, all right, let's see if we got questions. Fort Stanton. They want to know. Were you talking about Fort Stanton?
um, no, 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 no. The town of Stanton, Arizona. It's a membership camp now, and I mean we've had it for years, but it's the old ghost town of Stanton, Arizona, and it's
Uh,
just an amazing place. I mean, the most of the buildings are still standing, and um, okay, a separate reality. Further conversations with Don Juan by Carlos Castaneda. The teachings of Don Juan.
yeah. So
The
Don Juan.
teachings of, yeah, the Yaqui way of knowledge.
Yep. So Don Juan. Don
Journey
Juan.
Journey to Exelon. The teachings, the Yaqui way of, yeah, so on, so like that. Um, wow. I guess if you can still see my camera,
I can't.
I
No,
just
no.
wanted, I just
You.
no, I'm here. My
Okay.
light just went out.
Oh.
So give me a second.
We're having
I mean,
paranormal experiences.
I just had a light just go completely out, which is a little bizarre.
That's awesome. See, we're talking paranormal, and then there we go. We get some of it, man.
Yeah. And this isn't my, well, this isn't very good, but
No,
it'll
that's
have
all
to do
right.
because it's the only thing I've
Absolutely.
got left in here.
Nah, we've
Um,
we've crossed the limit, man. Not to any limits. I mean, we're doing 2 hour. We're 2 hours and 11. It's 911. Hey, it went out at 911. By the way, the light went out at 911. Well, something I was gonna, just ring in on when it comes to shared dreams and astral projection, all that kind of stuff. I have always, because I've had so many dreams, so many visions. I've had dreams of what my kids, my one of my kids was at college and in a program. And so I even, this is more recent, but I've had dreams since I was a kid and they come true. And I'm having dreams of the future. So I tell my kid, I said, "Hey man, I saw you at that party and this is what I saw you doing." And he was just out of his mind, weirded out because like, "No
oh,
way, what are you talking about? What are you?" And I said, "Hey, in my dream, I was right there watching you. So while they were doing some late night, 2, 3 in the morning, partying and hanging out, I told them what they were doing." Uh,
oh,
and
you're a bad dad.
That's
You're a
terrible, right?
bad
Yeah. He was thoroughly embarrassed that I knew what he was up to, so he was shocked. But I believe, without a doubt, that time travel is 100% possible. I've done it. But it's not the I'm not saying that physical time travel, getting in a machine, is impossible. I'm not saying that. But I know that time travel is real and it happens through consciousness and through mind. And so that's why, our minds are just untapped resources, at least for the physical incarnation of us walking around here, because I truly believe that we are consciousness, mind, spirit, and whatnot. So that's a whole nother show. But
that's a whole other show, and that is
yeah.
a show that I will be head over heels to jump in on that one because the idea of I'm actually writing writing some stuff that's based all around um the infinity wheel. And I'm not saying the infinity sign, I'm saying the infinity wheel.
Okay.
Because the infinity wheel is it has to do with everything up here and how this controls how this we think about our mind does a lot of these things for us. We go on autopilot. We're able to do our job when we know our job very, very well. We're and too many people get trapped and don't explore all the little caverns and all the little different things that the mind is capable of doing. So when you start talking about traveling, when you start talking about physical time travel, that one's going to be a little tough to even swallow or anything else like that. But when you talk about not being asleep but being in a meditative state, and you're seeing things that are 1,000 years old, and you're interacting with things that are long past and long gone from this earth. Are you having a dream? Are you
Reliving a previous life? Are you?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
are you having a past life regression? Are you dealing with any of these different things? Sure, you could call it whatever you want, but still, even if it's a past life regression, who gives a damn?
right.
If you want, if you are, if I'm suddenly in a meditative state and I find myself hanging out in um 1750 Pennsylvania or something, something like that, and I have to accept, okay, is this a past life regression? Well, that's a traveling, that's a travel.
Yeah,
That's all there is to
absolutely.
it.
It's still time
So there's,
travel. It is still
yeah,
time travel. You
yeah,
you are, yeah. Whether it was a previous life, or if in fact you are mental time traveling, I, I'm I'm not even convinced. I just know it's just
yeah,
too many
yeah.
times.
Well,
It's proof. It's proven to me, and it sounds like it is to you too, which is freaking awesome.
what is deja vu? What do you believe that deja vu is?
I mean, deja vu to me, I've always, of course, having it and being told, well, that experience, right, is deja vu. No, I have lived this already. It's already happened, and I'm reliving. I'm having that experience again. I've already been here, done it, and in fact, we have. I mean, this gets way deep, and obviously, we're off the treasure subject
Yeah,
for this moment, but this is treasure. So this is treasure. So it
yeah,
don't
it is.
matter. But dude, it is life is a cycle. I no long, I don't know if I ever did, but death doesn't exist. Everything is a cycle. Even in nature, by visible nature, everything is a cycle, and we are coming in and out of these cycles of call them dimensions, other lives. It is just life is amazing and mystical and fantastic. So anyway, I'm getting lost in my
Oh, it's
own thoughts
death.
of so many things I want to say, and they're not coming
Yeah.
out. So
No, 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 no. And that's almost when we get into topics like this, there's almost a little bit of prep time that has to come along with this, because to me, deja vu is a glitch. It's a little slight glitch in the
in
timing of the,
the glitch in the
not
matrix.
don't say in the Matrix, please. I knew that was coming. But these little glitches, these little things that were, you're reliving something that you're living something that you've already lived, but that would put you forward in time, that you would have already been reliving this, and so it gets in these little, it becomes a paradox.
Well, and I was gonna tell something that, and like you said, we normally need preparation. But one thing I was gonna say as well is one idea I've had. Can't tell everyone it's what it is, but one idea I've had is that in that moment of deja vu, in that moment, you have timeline jumped. You have timeline jumped. You have come to this synchronicity of exit, and all in that one moment, right? You've timeline jumped, and but instead of, let's say, you checking out and quote unquote dying, right? You've timeline jumped, and now you're in this new reality, new timeline, but you're in that space, that moment where it shifted. So anyway, that's been another possible theory, and that's one
I
thing I
don't
like.
disagree. I don't disagree. I believe. Look, you said it. The everything here is cyclic. No matter what, everything is cyclic, and we're born, we live, we die, and we have a cycle. There's a cycle. There's a cycle in nature, but every now and then there has to be things that make up for a little bit of, we have Greenwich Mean Time, we have leap year, we have these little things where we have to adjust the atomic clock. Now, what is time? And I love old movie lines, and I think the greatest explanation I ever heard of time was Joel Grey in The Adventures of Remo Williams.
See
Time
now,
is nothing more. Oh,
no, go
time is
ahead, keep
nothing
talking. I
more.
don't want to.
Yeah. Time is nothing more than a confidence trick invented by the Swiss to sell watches.
Uh,
And
and
when
there's no lie to that. There's no lie to that because we're not,
no,
man.
there is
This
none.
is not linear. We are,
No.
we've been trained and programmed is the better word to think in a linear way, right? Because we're going, oh, it's Monday, it's Tuesday, a cycle and linear. It's Monday, it's Tuesday, and there's this line, and this is the line we're going down, and then we're, man, it's just
Yeah.
so not that. It's just a construct of an
Yeah.
idea we've been given,
But I
So
love the way you said that is it's that little time jump. It's resyncing. And you said it better than I did. To me, deja vu is not. I'm not reliving something that I've already lived. I've caught up to myself where I'm at right now, and it's just these little tiny just micro fixes within the system.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. It's a
okay,
trip.
let, let's go back to metal detecting. That, like I said, that's a whole other show,
All
man.
right, all
Let,
right.
let's right
Well, you
or
know what?
whatever.
Yeah, I want to make sure we talk because I've taken a lot of your time, and we're now almost 2.5 hours, right? We started at 7. Um,
Yeah. Well, I
the,
said 10, so I'll go to 10:30. You've got
oh yeah,
you've
that's
got
right.
9 more minutes. You got no,
Okay,
you've got I'm sorry, you got 9 more minutes of me
so,
tonight. I got to get
man,
to bed.
I'm so interested in claims. My grandfather knew all this stuff, but I never picked his brain about claims and all that kind of stuff. But I've even got some of his research, some of his papers where he's got stuff. So I want to know the basics, and I'm sure other people do. What are the basics
Sure.
of mining claims? Um,
Very, very simple. Um, when the West was starting to be populated, the federal government set up the Department of Interior, and the Department of Interior's main job was to promote mineral entry in the western states. So you ended up with 14 states. Actually, there's more because Alabama and Mississippi actually fall into all of this as well. But you can't find. I won't even talk about that. So what they did is they created a system to where you could come in and you could claim land. And of course, most of it was about homestaking to begin with, but in this day and age, we have claims. Now, a claim is a 20-acre parcel of federal land that you have the rights to the minerals. So, and this is, but that's what you have is you have the rights to the minerals. If I have a mining claim, I cannot keep anybody from camping on it. I can't keep anybody if there's a creek in it and it's got a nice swimming hole. I can't keep anybody from recreating in it. I can't keep anybody from hunting on it. The only thing that I can do is um, it's called mineral trespass, and it's a federal crime. So if I've got a mining claim and Dan, you go out there and you start working on my mining claim and you don't have my written express permission or anything else like that, I can actually call the local sheriff. The local sheriff will take the report. It runs into the BLM, ultimately runs to the BLM, and um, you're going to get a federal mineral trespass put onto you, which is going to cost you a ton of money to get out of it. So filing a claim is really simple. The BLM has a program called the MLRS. It used to be called the LR 2000, but it's the MLRS that you can go in and you can look at about any section that's open for mineral entry in the Western United States. Find an area that you can find that doesn't appear to have any claims on it. Make sure you're in a gold bearing area, and you just do that by research. You get books and different things. Um, Maureen Johnson wrote this incredible series of books that were based on the mining productions back in the 1800s and all the way into the 1900s. And so you've got Johnson's books that it's like placer gold deposits of Arizona, placer gold deposits in Nevada, California, Utah, almost all the states, and they're based upon these things. So it doesn't give you an X marks the spot, but it gives you a lot of information about where that is. So you go out and you're anywhere but the state of California right now, and I'll get back to that one. And you're looking, you're going out, and you see an area, and there's no claim markers. There's nothing there that says that it's under a mining claim. And you start prospecting, and you find gold. The moment you find gold, or any viable mineral. I mean, it doesn't have to be gold, copper, silver, um, anything, any viable mineral. So now you put in your point of discovery. You put a little piece of paper in there saying that, the date and time and the whole 9 yards like that. And I used to tell people to go to the BLM first, but now you download on your computer a claim sheet. And while you're there, you've got your point of discovery. You're doing some more prospecting. You're going to basically walk out 1,300 by 660. So 1,300 by 660 is 20 acres. When you do 660, 60, 1320, 1320, that's 20 acres. And you've got that, and you've put up some little rock cairns or whatever. And you go home and you start bringing up all the information. You get the sheet, you file the sheet, or you get the sheet completed. You draw a map of exactly where it's at. In this day and age, you use Google Earth Pro, and you put in your GPS coordinates and the whole 9 yards because it makes life easier. You make sure that you go to the MLRS, make sure that you're aliquot, that you're not over on different sections, because you've got to put in the paperwork that you have to put in is that you're in township whatever, range something, section, and then subsection. So um, you have to break it down. So we've got a section. A section is 1 mile, 1 square mile. So you're going to break that into four. You're going to break that into four. So now I have the northwest, the northeast, the southeast, the southwest. So now I'm going to take the northwest, and I'm going to break that into four. So now I have the northwest of the northwest, the northeast of the northwest, the southeast of the northwest, and then the southwest of the northwest. Now I break those down even further, and now I've got the southwest of the northwest of the southwest quarter, and you just break it down until you get it down to 20 acres, and you've got all that laid out. You know that you're square, you're aliquot or aliquent within the section, and you run to the county recorder's office and you record that, because in all states a mining claim is classified as real property. There's a caveat to that when I say real property, that doesn't mean you go build a house or anything else on it. So you do all of that. Then you take that paperwork, you go to the BLM, you hand them their $200 plus their first year filing fee, and now you have a mining claim, and that's your claim. Now that means you can go out there and you can do exploration and do some simple things, but not bring in equipment. So now I go out there. I go out, Dan, you and I go out to our claim, and we've got a point of discovery where we found gold, and we keep prospecting. Now we find a place where we've got good gold, but we're talking about 6-7 feet deep. And
Right.
we're not going to dig by hand. So now we're going to go get a notice of intent. And this is for exploration. We get a notice of intent. The geologist comes out, the botanist comes out, the archaeologist comes out, everybody comes out, and they don't find anything, and say, okay, where do you want to work? We told them that. They give us 5 acres or whatever they're going to give. Generally, it's anywhere from 3 to 5 acres. And we pay a bond based upon the type of work that we're going to do. Let's just say we're going to set up a big dry wash or a wash plant. We're going to dig a pond. We're going to line it. We're going to have water. We're going to truck water in, and we're going to have a small wash plant there. Okay. So they assess everything. We pay a bond. We go get our equipment. We get done with that 5 acres, and we've got some really good gold. Now we want to figure out where the trend is. So we reclamate everything that we've just done. They come out, they do the inspection on it. Once they're done with the inspection on it, we show them, well, Dan and I have been trusting and trending, and now we're going to go that way. another another 5 acres, but we need to narrow this down. Instead of it being 5 square, we need to narrow it down because we're going to follow this. We're going to follow this trench line, or this line that we've got. So now, they do their magic and they rewrite it, and will swap our bond over to the next part of it, and we go back to work. It's that simple. It really is simple.
Well, you know what? You say it's simple, but you just made me know that I'm calling you for any claims that I'm going to file. And you will be an
Absolutely.
instant partner helper because, yeah, it's like anything
Yeah.
else. I'm like, man, those are too many hoops for me to be paying attention to right now.
It's
Paying
it's
attention.
really funny. After you've done it 3 or 4 times, it just becomes second nature, because really, quite frankly, it's just, you've got a section, you've got a square, you've got a 1 mile square, and it's in four. And
Right.
you know that we found gold here. We found gold when we found the section line, whatever. But you make a GPS mark and you put that on Google Earth, and then you see the PLSS, Public Land Survey System, yada yada yada, and you do all this, and then you just make your 20 acres and you go. Now, here's the catch: state of California, everywhere else you need to have corner markers. There's a reason for that. First off, it shows people where the hell your claim is. Here's 20 acres. Here's my point of discovery. My northwest corner is 633 feet in the north, and from this point in the north at 59 or 63, 60, whatever degrees, or
Right.
actually for there it'd be like um 280 degrees, whatever, to get it up there, and all these other things. State of California, because the PLS, Public Land Survey System, has been completed years ago, and people think this is new. It's not. Years ago, the state of California, eh, in a bill and everything else that passed, and they pushed it through, you don't need corner markers in the state of California. All you need is a point of discovery. So when claims get bought, or when they get sold, or when they get traded, or when people are going out there now, they may have a little post, a little 5 foot high 4x4 post sticking out of the ground that's got a point of discovery on it. And I got to tell you, dude, I don't know if you've ever been out walking around in the forest, but the chances of finding a white 4x4 post in a 20 acres of forest land, pretty damn tough,
It's
you
like a
know.
needle in a haystack still.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it literally is a needle in a pine stack. So, so that's, but look, most people will go ahead and still put up their corner markers because they want to protect their claims,
Right.
so on and so
And
forth.
that was another question is how do you protect a claim without being out there monitoring 24/7? And has anyone ever filed a claim and the government all of a sudden decided, "Hey, hold on, you can't be here for a while." And then the gold or riches are gone. Or it's been worked, and so anyway, protecting the claim. I'm getting too far ahead of myself.
Right, right, right. So protecting the claim, not really. I mean, there's not if you've got a notice of intent and you've got occupancy, which you can file for occupancy, which means that you are going to be actively working it. In other words, you live there, pretty much is what it
Gotcha.
is. And that's probably about the only way you can protect it. High grading has been something that's happened since the very beginning of claims and so on like that, and it'll probably happen forever. I mean, look, I manage a few hundred claims every year
Wow.
through the company, and I will tell you that um, I've had to push mineral trespass on a couple of people. We had some people up in South Dakota that absolutely just they had a really bad attitude in the whole 9 yards, and they started threatening our members that were coming on to that was coming onto the claim, legally coming onto the claim, and there were some threats that were going around. I can't call. I mean, I can follow up with the sheriff, but I really can't call them because I'm now the second party. and they want to hear it from the RP, the reporting party. So I've had a few people that have actually picked up the phone, called the sheriff's office, got there, and the people were still there. They were given the opportunity. I give everybody the opportunity to leave. So when the sheriff's department, I'm talking to them, I'm just making it very clear. Tell them to leave. If they come back, they're going to get a federal trespass on them. And I will tell you, if there's any sheriff's deputies out here listening to this, you're going to love this one. Deputies love doing that. Deputies love coming out and doing that front end paperwork, because that's all they're doing is the front end paperwork. It gets handed over to the feds. They're done. So, they enjoy writing out that trespass paperwork and everything else like that, because after that it goes federal. I
Wow.
mean, it's federal. It is a federal offense to mine on somebody else's mining claim.
Damn.
It's not
Damn.
it's not California land, it's not Arizona land. It's freaking federal land. It
Right.
belongs to the Department of Interior. It belongs to the Bureau of Land Management, the Forest Service. In other words, it belongs to us.
Right.
And we have a right because we paid for that right for those minerals.
Mm.
So,
That's amazing, man. But back in the
yeah.
day, if they were around, they would just shoot your butt.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
but I think it might be worse to lock you up for years. Who wants? No one wants that, man.
Yeah.
So
And then
that's
with California with their the things that they've done over the last 10 years to almost just completely stop prospecting and mining in the state of California, which is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen, but I'm not going to get political. Um, California has riches. I mean, California is still gold is a natural resource. Gold is meant to be brought out of the ground. I mean, that's all there is to it.
right.
And it can be done sustainably. It really can. It's not, when people think about gold prospecting, they think about the mother lode and they see places where the hydraulic mining and different things like that happened. And that was back in the 1800s. That hasn't happened since then. Is hydraulic mining outlaw? Is hydraulic mining illegal? It's actually not illegal. Just it's going to cost you billions of dollars in permits and
Wow.
bonding to be able to do it.
Wow.
I've never seen something that said that hydraulic mining is completely, totally off the board. But there's not a mining company in the world that could afford it.
Wow.
That
Well,
but yeah, California shut down dredging. They shut down. When I was at the last Senate hearing, was I in the very last Senate hearing? Um, I realized that everything I said was just a waste.
wow.
They weren't listening. They weren't listening. They had already made up their minds. And when the California water boards and everybody else came out with this the closure area, you can't do anything within 300 feet of an active waterway and all this other stuff. And it doesn't matter if it's got fish in it or this or that. I mean, if it goes somewhere, they're worried about the methylation of mercury. If you're in Mariposa County, California, the water's cold enough, and no matter what you do, what we do is we clean up hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds of mercury out of the water that's been there since the old timers. We clean the rivers. That's what we do.
Is
We
that
take
is
it.
that cinnabar mercury, like in solid
No,
form
this is
still, or is it mercury that's
it's mercury that was put into the water. I mean, mercury is an incredible recovery agent. You The old timers use mercury because gold amalgams immediately to mercury.
right?
So it was used and it was overused, and nobody knew. I mean, nobody really knew the danger and everything else. I mean, hell, when you were a kid, I don't know how old you are, but you're young. You are younger than I am.
I'm
Um,
72, sir. 72. No, I'm just kidding.
are you really?
No, God
No,
no.
you're not. No,
I'm
but
52,
when I was a
52,
kid,
maybe
you're
53, something like.
52.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're 10 years younger than I am. We used to take dimes, and when we'd break the thermometer, we'd shine up the dimes with the mercury, and we'd play with the mercury. And I'm sure you probably did some of the same thing
Oh
until,
yeah.
yeah, mercury and lead became the most deadliest things on the face of the planet. Well,
And we're
um,
just little kids breaking thermometers, going, "Ooh, look at that," and
oh
just
yeah, yeah, and
playing
playing
with
with
it.
it and stuff like that.
Yep.
Is mercury dangerous? Of course, mercury is dangerous.
Yeah, don't drink it.
But yeah, yeah. Well, I don't
So,
know. I
so yeah.
Are you gonna? There's also no. I'm not even
I know
even
where you're going, the
approach.
ancients, man, and there are some
Yeah,
alchemy and
yeah,
some other things that
yeah,
say, hey, hold
yeah,
on, Mercury is not. Anyway, we're not telling anyone Mercury is not bad,
yeah.
but some
No,
of the
Mercury is
ancient
bad.
alchemists are saying, hey, Mercury is a special element to be
Yeah,
used.
absolutely. So here's some trivia for you, real quick, on Mercury. Then I'll get away from it. Where did the term "Mad as a Hatter" come from?
I don't know.
Back in the olden days when they were making felt hats, doing like the felt bowlers and the felt
Right?
hats,
Yeah.
the hattier, the hattier was using. They would use mercury to slick the hats to help it form better. So they were getting the derelicts, these derelicts, the derelicts that were behind the buildings and things like that, and paying them 25 cents or this or that, and these hats would be superheated, and they would put the hat on the person, shape the hat by pressing mercury into it and doing these different things. So every one of those people that they did that to went crazy because they had the heat, their pores were open, and you were ingesting mercury straight into their brains.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so they
So that's where the
became
term
Mad Hatters.
"Mad as a Hatter" came from.
Wow. Yeah, and someone's saying a lot of mercury is found in tombs. Yeah, under Mexico, they just recently they went
Yeah.
deeper underneath one of the pyramids and channels and pools filled with mercury. And
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the same thing with the Egyptian pyramids because mercury was clearly, in my opinion, used by the ancients to, a part of their technology, right? They use mercury
Oh yeah.
in computer boards and stuff, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
as well, and with the
Yeah.
crystals and all.
Mercury has so many uses, and is it dangerous? Well, yeah, but you know what? So's bismuth. You know, so's plastic.
Right.
Eh, yeah, I don't even want to go down that one. Okay, so um, yeah, where next question, please.
Yeah, you got. I mean, I guess I could. I'm just gonna jump to because I don't want to be disrespectful. We've already gone past your 9 minutes, sir. So how
Oh,
about this?
yeah.
Future projects. Is there anything that you want to share with folks that you're working on now, or is it mum's the word for a little bit? You are working on stuff and just can't share. Um,
Very
so
little. You know what? I learned in 2005 when I went to work for the Travel Channel that I lost all my anonymity, and I've never even tried to hide shit since then. So it doesn't work. I can be out in the desert working on a top secret squirrel project, and next thing I know, I've got like 8 guys going, "Hey man, what's that?" Like, oh, um, really, I'm doing a lot. I'm an educator. I know I'm an educator. It's my boss kind of beat me up one time. He said, you're really, I don't expect you to create a lot of content because you're more about the education, and you simply forget to turn the camera on. And there are times where I turned the cameras on. I mean, I've got hours and hours of footage, but it's stuff that I'm just going to curate and have to do voiceovers and things like that on it. But as an educator, I want to help people understand prospecting and mining, and do things like that. So in 2015, we started a television series called Gold Trails, and we ran that for 2 seasons. But um, it was just so ridiculously expensive to be able to do, and we were doing it. We were all self-producing in the whole 9 yards, and
right.
at one time, I mean, we're the company that started the Outdoor Channel.
Mm,
So, and then when the Outdoor Channel sold, we suddenly realized that, putting stuff on TV cost us a lot more money than what it used to. So, and so basically, starting in 2023, I started going out and working with members all across the Western United States on GPA claims, and um, some public lands and different things like that. And so right now I'm rebuilding the website. You can, and it's not, right now it's the older site, but It's goldtrails.com, where you can go in, take a look at my schedule. I'm going to say don't even bother right now because we're putting up my schedule. If you're a GPA member or an LDMA member with GPA benefits, it's absolutely free to come to. It's a 2 day boot camp. Because what I'm going to do is right off the bat, we're going to take a walk. I'm going to give you everything you actually really need about geology, which is about the 30,000 foot view. Um, because quite frankly, for the last 1.8, 1.9 billion years on this planet, the only thing that has really moved gold has been water. And my book that I'm writing is called The Way of Waters, not The Way of Water, not the ways of water. It's The Way of Waters. So, and all that is going to be just about understanding what to look for and how to find gold in this day and age, which having just a basic understanding of geology. If you understand your rocks, if you understand the types of rocks, igneous, metamorphic, um, and you understand the basics of the different types of deposits, hydrothermal, epithermal, mesothermal, bahatit, these different things like that. What you'll find is the process is really not the principle is really the same. I don't care if I take you into the middle of a desert right out here in the middle of this desert, or take you into the California mother lode where it's just nothing but trees. If you understand the principles of being able to find gold, they're worldwide. I mean, the principles that I learned when I was a kid are the things that I've taken to Australia. It's what I when I was in Africa, when I was in Ghana, when I was in Africa decades ago. The principles never change. It's just the process. And I'm trying to, and the whole idea behind Gold Trails is to feed you a whole bunch of information in a very short period of time, knowing that you're going to forget a big part of it. But there is going to be a book and some other things, but giving you enough information to where you feel comfortable, and more importantly, where you feel I'm giving you 50 years of my prospecting, over 50 years of my, to make you confident, so you have the confidence to go out and find gold. I mean, I talk to people all the time that they've been members for 20 years. When was the last time you were out on the claim? Oh, I've never been out on the claim. Why? Well, I don't know if I know what I'm doing. And that happens. So I'm focusing a lot on that. I do have some other projects that I'm working on that, because I have other people involved, maybe I can't talk about those. But if I talk to them about it, because I mean, there's one where before it's all said and done, we plan on inviting the entire public to come and be a part of this. And it's not a mining project. It is definitely a treasure project. So,
Awesome.
we'll play with that. So I'll leave it at that, and I guess we'll call it for the night. And dude, if you want to book me again.
Okay.
And let's have some fun.
Yeah,
I
yeah, we've got so much more to talk about. Plus, we can even maybe have someone else on. There's no limit, I don't think, to how many people I can have poop 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 popping in, and we can make it
Yeah,
a group adventure too, so that we're
absolutely. I'll tell you
that
what. Let's get the whole cast of Aztec on this, and then invite that one dude that got us all involved from the production company.
okay.
The one
And
dude, you know who I'm talking about.
would that be the D
No, no,
man,
no.
or the K man?
The D man.
The D man. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That would be
yeah.
awesome.
Let's get the. I talk to him every now and then. He's helped me out a lot over the last couple of years on looking at a couple of different things and so on like that. And
Right.
just, I mean, he's good people. He's good
He,
people.
he is. He is.
Yeah.
Yep.
But,
Well,
all right. Yeah, I'm done.
oh,
I've talked your ear off. I've talked everybody else's ear off. And
no, they love it though, man. The Price Production says thank you for all the great info, Kevin. Other people throwing up heart symbols and whatnot, and these are the people watching
happy
live.
holidays, baby.
That's it. We love and appreciate all of you that stuck with us, because it seems that some people stuck with us the entire time, and that's super awesome. And you guys are appreciated. I can't imagine all
Yeah,
the
truly.
people who will be watching, after it comes on, after it hits the YouTube or whatever, for people
Yeah,
to watch later. I'm gonna make a bunch of shorts from it as well, so I'll share those things. But I appreciate you, man. This is the longest
yeah,
that we've talked together.
ever,
Ever,
ever.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
and
because we always, yeah, we started to talk when we first met in Nevada. We
yep,
started to have a good conversation, and next thing I know, I'm getting pulled one direction, you're getting pulled the other direction, and by the
yeah,
time we got done, it was what 10:30 at night, and
oh yeah,
everybody had a hell of a drive. So yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah.
so I'm going to pitch my podcast because I'm going to have you on my podcast as well.
Okay, great.
My Yeah, I've got a podcast called On the Gold. I don't do live because generally we have a lot of stuff that gets weird.
Okay,
Some of the some of the times, but it's all about gold prospecting. It's about asking questions, but there's a whole other side to gold prospecting, and you are a part of that realm of understanding. Because you have to understand the earth, you have to understand that what you see is not what's actually always there,
right.
and all these other things. Um, I there's a Marcus Leader. I don't know if you've ever heard his name or if he's reach. You need to look at Marcus Reader. He has a podcast that he struggled with every now and then, but it's called the Shaman's Brew,
Okay,
and really brilliant guy, and is all in on, and it's really heavy on prospecting and understanding, and he and I have had some incredible conversations about looking at the world in a little bit different way.
right,
And I'd like to have you on the gold, and drag you into that realm as well, because I think you'll find that you haven't done a lot of gold prospecting, but I think you'll find that there is an absolute niche for somebody like you within that realm
right on.
that would
Man,
that would make you.
yeah, I'd be honored. I would love to participate, and I even want to throw out to you that if you guys are doing events, and there's opportunity to think about me for coming out and participating. I enjoy it. I enjoy coming out giving
Yeah.
talks. It could be on different subjects, whatever. However,
Well,
whatever, man.
here's the thing: we need to create these opportunities. I mean, you popped up a couple of things tonight that it was like, wow, why haven't we done that? And
Right?
it's just because we haven't talked about it. Look, you and I get shit done. I mean, that's all there is to it.
Yep.
I mean, that's I've got that on a t-shirt. And I'm sorry everybody out there for the expletives tonight, but I look, I'm alone. I live by myself. I've never been married. I have no kids, and I have a tendency to drop f-bombs every now and then. So,
So
yeah,
trust me, so do I. And I work really hard on this live show for myself for that stuff not to just fly out of my mouth. It seems it's my favorite, you know, words
yeah,
sometimes to
yeah.
describe things or to, anyway.
And you
So
and you've traveled, right? You've been to other countries. You've been to other places.
I have, but not as much as you would think. Man, really, because I'm not going to start making up stories about it. No, most of my stuff really is the Americas and around here. So
Yeah,
I need to get to even Mexico and Peru and these places. My grandfather and uncles, shared so many ideas with me, like Machu Picchu. Forever since I was a little kid, I've known or had the belief that there were tunnels and things into the mountain. Everyone's looking at the things on top of Machu Picchu and da da da. But I've known from my grandfather saying, no, no, no. There's entrances that go all throughout that whole entire mountain. There's so many fabulous, marvelous things in Machu Picchu. So I want to go to those things. Easter Island, all these places. I need to. I need to get to, because they've been a part of my oral tradition, since I
absolutely.
would can ever remember. But most of
You
my
you would
adventures have been here.
Yeah, you'd be a basket case at Machu Picchu. You would because even walking up there, even as you're walking up and you're getting closer to it, um, you realize that there's so much more,
Oh yeah.
so much more than what you will ever see. That what you see is the facade.
Right.
That's all it is. It's just
Right.
the facade. It's the backstage of Blazing Saddles, man. There's so much
Now that
more.
movie I know. Now that movie I know.
All right.
All
All
right.
right. Yeah. And I see that I don't have my glasses on. Is that ice snot?
Yeah, yeah, ice snot. I don't know what I was calling them before, but it does say ice snot.
Okay. It says, can we have a link? I don't know. I don't know if you're
Is
looking for the
on
link.
I think he's talking maybe is on the gold on is your show
Oh no.
on YouTube?
Yeah. Um, no, the show is always it is a podcast that I'm just now starting to I've only got a few episodes that are actually a video cast, but if you go to Gold Prospectors, if you go to YouTube and type in at Gold Prospectors, you'll see one of the pages or one of the channels has the gold pan and it's got the GPA logo on it. You can go there and look at it there. Um, but yeah, keep an eye out because it'll be there and it'll also be on Gold Trails TV, which really we pulled almost all of the episodes of Gold Trails off and now put them onto that. But if you listen to podcast, I'm on every freaking podcast host that there is. Um, when Apple accepted me and Amazon accepted me, everybody in the world came charging after me. So if you listen to podcast, believe me, we're not hard to find. Just type in on the gold with Kevin Hoagland, and you can hear the educational podcast and everything else like that. So,
Awesome.
all right,
All right.
all right, I'm
Thank you,
done,
brother.
man. It's 10:55. I'm
Yes,
done.
yes, yes. I understand, and I love you and appreciate you, and I'm looking
Love
forward
you,
to
brother.
us powwowing, man, in the future. So,
Yeah,
um, let's talk in the next week or so. I don't want to overstep my bounds, but let's talk about some of the things we talked about so we can get them in motion. This summer would be some great opportunity, definitely for Utah, and I imagine for your area,
yeah.
or whenever. Let's talk.
And here's one other thing we need to do. All right, we got all these people that are in here. And there's not as many as there were, but these folks that are in there that you've hung out here with us all night long for this 3 hours of me just freaking babbling about. Um, look, do you want to see Lost Gold of the Aztec come back? Because if you do, you need to ask for it. I mean, we sent my friends sent in a huge. I mean, they did this huge. What was it? 8,000 signatures or in that neighborhood.
Wow.
Um, gang, if you want it to come back, put some pressure on the History Channel.
Right.
Ask them, tell them, ask them. You know, is there a way that can be done a little bit more economical? Because look, Dan and I've been around. We know how we had an idea of how much that show cost,
Right.
and nobody really had the conversation with us. But yeah, it was logistically it was a freaking nightmare, and I understand that, and it who knows? I mean, it may be something, it may be Aztec Gold Light. Hell, I don't know, but if you want it to come back, if you want to see that show, it's not up to us. It's not up to us. It's up to
Right.
you guys. It's up to the audience to come back and say, um, Price Productions. I signed a petition at one point. Price, who the hell are you? Do I know you? Watch it come back and be like my brother-in-law. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. Price, you need to send me an email because if you sign that petition, I really want to know because look, we want it back. I'd love to have it back. I would love. I'm going to be selfish here. I would love to have history's money to go do what we did.
Right.
That's all there is to it. Because look, you got pushed up years. We got pushed up in years. Um, I mean, we couldn't. We would still be. We if we were. We never could have gotten as far as we did. We never could have blasted that freaking wall
Right.
with and been into that area as quickly as we had, and have those 3 pieces of rope show up. That's just that's some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Done. I'm done. I'm checking out. All right.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan, for having me. But to everybody that's still there, Price, Ice Not, don't really want to know how you got the name, dude, but yeah, I love you for it. Um,
And
all of you that are out there, it's just,
Nicholas that was watching, and
yeah,
Adria, and some other one. Yeah, gosh, it's too. I can't scroll all that
yeah,
stuff. So, but
yeah.
we appreciate even you silent ones out there who aren't saying anything. We appreciate you watching and hanging tough with us. So,
I got no
um,
problem with lurkers. I got no problem with lurkers.
I will say this one more time. Reach out to Kevin if you're looking for any of his expertise in anything that he does, from claims and mining. I imagine he's available for hire, or reaching out to him. Same with me. Info at dandillman.com, or just go to dandillman.com. Go to kevinhoagland.com, and make sure that you support us, support Kevin, support me, and we support you guys. So,
Yeah,
I do want to say thank you, to my wife, of course, who's dealing with me and saying, "What are you doing a podcast for?" I said, "I don't know. I'm being moved to do. The universe has got me doing it." Um, so yeah, I just want to thank my wife, my brother, and also my supporters, my good supporters. Matter of fact, there's someone. Hold on here, that I want to. I don't want to keep you on the phone, but where is it at? Where is it at? I can't even believe that I'm doing this to myself. I should have been ready. Say something, Kevin. Say something real quick.
hey, everybody. So, Dan is taking a look for that. Look, we live in an amazing world, and this world is absolutely, you'll never be able to take in all of it. And I've been blessed by being in the oil and gas industry and being in the mining industry and being in a few other industries. And I've been able to see the things from below the earth, and I've been able to see the things from above and in the sky. And the one thing I just beg everybody to do is take a moment every day, just a moment, whether if it's a minute, that's great. If it's just a moment, stop, look down and look up, and just realize that you're on a spinning ball that we are all a part of, and we need to not only take care of what we're on, but we need to take care of each other. I
Amen.
when I end my podcast, I always say, be good to yourself, be good to others, and go prospecting. And
I love it.
to me, the biggest part is be good to yourself and be good to others, because if you do that, no matter what you do in life, you'll be a success.
That's it. That's it.
Right
And
here,
yeah,
right here.
amen, amen, amen to that one, man. And reminding people in that same tone, same spirit, that you are special, you are unique. The world is a wonderful mystery and blessing, and you are what you say you are about yourself. So, hopefully you're thinking good thoughts. And I'm telling everyone watching right now, you will discover treasure for yourself in your life. You are worthy, you deserve it, and you are blessed. So, treasure and good fortune and health is coming your way, and we appreciate you. I want to also say thank you to Paul Quilter. He's been a supporter, and kind of a sponsor slash supporter of my channels, and I just want to make sure to give him a special shout out too. Like I said, my wife, my brother Jason, my wife Gina, and to all of you, we love and appreciate you. Please, if you can, remember to support us however you can, sharing this podcast, sharing Kevin's website, my website, letting your friends and family and colleagues know that we're doing some cool stuff, not just the podcast, but that we are still living our dreams by going out and seeking this treasure. And the treasure is not just gold and silver, it's the journey, it's the adventure. So
And
don't
the people.
and the people. So
Yep.
do not forget how miraculous this moment, this experience is, right? So I appreciate you, man.
I love you, brother.
I
I
love you
do.
too.
No. And with that, have a great evening. And
Yes.
again, be good to yourself, be good to others, and hell, go find treasure.
Yes. Good night, everyone. God bless you. We'll see you
We are
soon.
going
See you
to
soon.
give you some playtime, Kevin. We are going to give you some playtime, Kevin. I don't know what that means.
I
Price
don't know what
Productions.
I don't know what it means either, but that's a great show. There we go. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
We appreciate that. And I guess I'm going to go ahead and hit end, or we can go another hour, man.
No,
Go ahead.
no, dude, I'm done. I am.
All right.
I've been up since 4:30. I've been up. I've been up since 4:30 this morning. So I'm kind of.
All right.
I'm kind of like I'm running on adrenaline and nicotine right now. So
All right. Well, then
see ya.
there it is. Goodbye, good night, and until we meet again somewhere deep within the cosmos.